Back at Chase Field, getting ready for Great Britain. Here's the lineup. Chavez Young is in right field. Trace Thompson, the big night last night, a homer and a double. Matt Koperniak slides into the 3 spot. Harry Ford hits cleanup. Nick Ward, left-handed hitter at first base. B.J. Murray, a switch hitter at third. Darnell Sweeney got a lot of speed at shortstop. Jaden Rudd, the youngster, at left. And Anthony Seymour at second base. Batter in the box. And Cal Quantrill ready to go.
Quantrill, 15-5 a year ago for the Guardians. He made 32 starts, and he is a workhorse. Throws a lot of strikes, not really overpowering, but he knows how to pitch. He'll move the ball around, uses a sinker, cutter, changeup, and a curveball.
Young takes a fastball that is up, and we're underway. It's 1-0. Quick turnaround for Great Britain. Last night, taking on Team USA. Everybody expected a blowout, and it wasn't. 6-2 was the final. Great Britain had 2 runs on 8 hits, and they knocked Adam Wainwright around a little bit early in that ball game as well. There's a look at Drew Spencer, skipper for Great Britain, and a fastball there.
Yeah, I think Team Great Britain recognized one thing, that we can compete, we can play with these guys. We just have to eliminate the mistakes. That was costly last night.
We saw a lot of things last night from Great Britain. They have a lot of team speed. They're not afraid to use it. A lot of the young hitters were able to make contact and hard contact. Certainly Thompson is a dangerous guy, and he's in the 2 spot. That's down low. And Cal Quantrill, who didn't walk a whole lot of guys last year with Cleveland, a leadoff walk.
Take a look at Great Britain and what they have featured. Canada's defense, Robson, O'Neill, and Casey in the outfield. On Lopez, a fine young prospect from the Blue Jays. At shortstop, Edward Julian from the Minnesota Twins. He's the second. Toro and Freeman on the corners. Freddie Freeman, a Gold Glove winner. Tyler O'Neill's got a couple of Gold Gloves in center field. And Bo Naylor, the young prospect with the Cleveland Guardians.
Quantrill gets a strike on a check swing foul ball, and this is Trace Thompson. What a moment last night with 40,000 in here, just about all of them chanting USA, USA. Trace Thompson launched one into the seats off of Adam Wainwright, and that gave Great Britain a 1-0 lead. And that quieted down the crowd immediately.
Well, it sure did. And you mentioned he had a great run with the Dodgers at the end of the season last year. He had 13 home runs for LA and drove in 39 runs. And he's the guy. If I'm Canada, I got to make sure that he doesn't beat us. He's the one legit bat in their lineup.
Young is running, got a huge jump, pitches in, and the throw is nowhere near in time. And that's what I mean about the speed by Great Britain. They've got it. They want to use it.
Yeah, and Chavez Young, they move him into the leadoff spot. He works the walk and gets a great jump at first base. He gets a running start, and they're going to run in this situation. Bo Naylor's throw was about 20 feet short of the mark. He bounced it, but I think Canada's got to expect a lot of that from this team here in this game this afternoon.
2-1 to Thompson. Cal Quantrill having trouble finding the strike zone right away. That's up the middle. Julian is playing there. Backhands it, fires to first in time, but it does move Young to third and in scoring position with 1 out.
Yeah, man, Great Britain, of course, they have to do the little things. They have to take advantage. Chavez Young able to advance on this ground out. They were playing Thompson to pull 3 defenders on the left side of the bag, and if you're watching Major League Baseball in the spring, you say, what's going on? Those rules don't apply in this tournament.
Matt Koperniak, infield is back, so a real nice opportunity here for Great Britain with 1 out. A ground ball seemingly scores a run. 0 for 1 last night with a walk was Koperniak.
Yeah, it's really different. We saw Mexico and Colombia play the infield in very early in the game because they knew that was going to be kind of tight back and forth. I'm a little surprised Canada is conceding a run on a ground ball here. You know, runs are so important in this tournament, and you make contact if you're Koperniak, you should pick up an RBI.
Gets a 2-0 pitch here, and he takes it outside. And it's 3-0. If you're asking yourself, well, maybe Cal Quantrill's not used to pitching an international play or in a tournament. No, he's had extensive experience pitching for Canada.
He has pitched in Seoul, Taichung, and Cartagena in World Junior Championships. So he's pitched in international formats before. And, well, that's unusual for Quantrill. A couple of walks here in the first inning.
He walked only 5 hitters all year last year in the first inning. He had 32 starts, a breakout season. He was 15-5 with a 3.38 ERA. You see Ernie Whitt. Now let's see what Great Britain does. Harry Ford is such a bright young prospect, the #1 prospect for the Seattle Mariners. He spent 2 years of single A, and they expect him to rise through that system pretty quickly. And that's a strike. Felix Tejada is the home plate umpire. Bill Miller is at first. Jonathan Biarreta of Venezuela is at second, and Carlos Torres, a major league umpire, at third.
If you're Ford here, you got to take a shot at that big hole on the right side of the infield and try to stay out of a double play.
That's a strike, top of the zone, and it had the plate, and suddenly the youngster, who's just 20, is behind in the count.
He was 0 for 4 with a couple of strikeouts in the game last night against Team USA. Chance to put Great Britain on the board early.
He's one of the reasons they're here. He homered in each of the 3 qualifying games. But on 0-2, and he struck him out. That's a big punch out for Canada.
Well, and that's the experience of Cal Quantrill. Doesn't get rattled. He knows he's just a pitch away from getting the second out, and he throws his fastball. It looked like more of a changeup there, and it was upstairs. He got away with one, but he is not really zeroed in just yet. He's a command and control guy, and you mentioned it, Richie. He's always been good at throwing a lot of strikes. Only 47 walks last year in 186 innings.
Still at the corners, but with 2 outs now for Nick Ward. Runner goes. Naylor's throw. Runner coming home. Safe at second, and the run scores. And Great Britain steals a run.
Naylor made a pretty strong throw. Is a little short of the mark, but we told you Great Britain's going to roll the dice. They're going to take some chances on the bases, and it's a good jump at first base. Naylor never looked the runner back at third, and Otto Lopez, the shortstop, tried to come up with it, but he couldn't field it cleanly. And Great Britain, as they did last night, takes a 1-0 lead.
How about that? A 1-0 lead last night against Team USA in the first. And this one into left field. This could be 2-0. Charging is Robson. Runner coming home. Throw to second. Great Britain has 2 in the first.
We talked about the game last night against Team USA and how that encouraged and inspired this team, Great Britain. And it looks like they've really taken a lot of things out of that loss. Press the offense, couple of walks in the inning, and Nick Ward, he was 1 for 4 in the game last night. What a terrific approach. They're playing him to pull. He goes the other way and hits it right at the shortstop position, and he knocks in the second run of the inning.
PJ Murray now, another switch hitter. There's a lot of those, 4 of them in this Great Britain lineup. Add in 3 lefties. They are set to face Quantrill.
Looks like Ward wants to run over at first base as well.
A double steal, 3 stolen bases in total, and you could see Naylor is a little more edgy behind the plate.
Yeah, Great Britain, they just can't stand toe-to-toe and slug with a lot of teams in this pool, so they've got to use their speed. They had 9 stolen bases in the qualifier in Germany in 3 games, and they had a perfect 3-0 record in that qualifier.
Check swing, and that's a strike. What did Drew Spencer tell us going into the game against Team USA. I mean, look, you're facing Mike Trout and Mookie Betts and all of that. He said, we have to win the small margins. And they did to some extent last night, but there were a few of those small things they didn't do well, and that cost them. Runner goes, high pop-up, and that's out of play.
Yeah, last night, Great Britain allowed 200 runs. They committed to 2 errors. They walked 6 and hit a batter. And they just can't afford to do that. They don't have the offensive firepower to make up for those mistakes. As you can see, they're pretty cool and calm and collected and just anxious to put their best foot forward against Team Canada here.
Runner goes, fouled at the plate, and another good jump by Nick Ward.
Well, you know what this type of game does? It energizes the whole team. Everybody gets into the spirit of running. And Chavez Young was moved up the leadoff spot. He stole a couple of bases after drawing the leadoff walk. And once you start seeing your team run, everybody gets energized and anticipates the chance to run some more.
2-2, not running, and not a strike. Felix Tejada behind the plate is not a major league umpire, but he stuck that call. It was up. Murray struggled last night. He was 0 for 4 with 3 strikeouts. Runner will be moving here. Full count, 2 outs. And it's high. And Cal Quantrill, who walked 5 hitters all season last year in the first inning in the big leagues, in 32 starts, has walked 3 here. JP Morosi, what do you see down there?
Rich, tremendous amounts of energy right now in the Great Britain dugout. When Chavez Young scored that first run, and then after the key hit as well, he said 9 innings. We're playing 9 innings today. The energy here is as loud and palpable as I felt it all tournament long.
Yeah, Chavez Young told me before the game, he said, I watched very closely Mookie Betts and Mike Trout, and they're superstars in the big leagues, and they were grinding like it was a World Series game. And I told my teammates, we got to play 27 outs. Look at Team USA and look how they're grinding. We've got to find a way to play with that same focus, and so far it looks like they've locked it in.
2 runs across, 1 hit, 3 walks, and 3 stolen bases. And here is Darnell Sweeney, who fouls it back. Sweeney last night had a hit. He was 1 for 4 with a couple of strikeouts. Ward at second, Murray at first.
And another thing this has done is it has really elevated the pitch count for Cal Quantrill. You have a pitcher that's had so much success in the big leagues, and you think, well, maybe he'll give us 3, maybe 4, and maybe even get into the 5th inning. But that's not going to happen the way he's going right now.
Up the middle, into center field. That's a base hit. Here comes Ward. Here comes the throw. He's in there. 3-0 Great Britain. This is unbelievable. And you can see Quantrill's reaction.
Well, those 3 walks, and you keep encouraging the offense when you walk batters, and that's a pretty good pitch down and away with a lot of movement, but Sweeney stays on it. He had a hit in the game last night, and this is right past the pitcher's shoulder into center. O'Neill's got a strong arm and makes it close, but Team Great Britain has jumped all over Cal Quantrill.
Jaden Rudd now, the youngest member of this Great Britain team.
They talk about the speed being an important factor for Great Britain as Ward, he scores standing up, but it's a lot closer than he anticipated.
And Rudd takes a breaking ball. Blue Jays are very high on this youngster.
Just 20 years old. He has not yet played in a league. He played in the Florida Complex League the last 2 years. But he is probably going to end up playing in the Florida State League this year. But he's just 20 years old, really starting to come into his own.
Good speed out there. Murray at second, Sweeney at first, and Quantrill buries one. This is the worst possible scenario for Ernie Whitt. 3 runs for Great Britain. Quantrill's pitch count is north of 30 right now. 65 is the pitch limit in pool play. So for these first 4 games for everybody, that's your limit as a starting pitcher. Philippe Aumont in the bullpen for Canada. So an arm getting ready, and Quantrill misses up. Buck, look, you were a major league catcher, you were a major league skipper, you managed in this World Baseball Classic. Just watching Quantrill right now, what do you see?
Well, he's just not been able to locate his pitches, and it might be a little bit of the adrenaline and anticipation. Another thing that Team Canada was a little concerned about was the inexperience of their catcher. Bo Naylor just got to the big leagues last year for the first time, and game planning was a bit of a concern, but Quantrill has enough experience to really sort out things himself and call his own game.
Two and two, 2 outs, 2 on, 3 across. And this is a good solid at bat by this youngster.
Yeah, and they took an awful lot out of that game last night. He got a base hit in his first at bat last night against Team USA, and that came against Adam Wainwright. As we mentioned, he's just 20 years old. He was 0 for 2, lifted for a pinch hitter in the 7th inning when Deshaun Knowles came on and hit a triple pinch hitting for him. But Drew Spencer told us that the first one to welcome Knowles into the dugout after that pinch hit triple and he scored was Jaden Rudd. He was top step saying, hey, great job, and he hit in my spot, but he delivered a big hit for the team.
Head start here for Murray and Sweeney with a full count and 2 outs. Pitch number 36 is fouled back, and they are just chewing up the pitch count right now for Quantrill.
Well, and Great Britain, they had 8 hits in that game last night against Team USA, and they had the at-bat, so all of that first game jitters is behind them, and you can see the sequence in this at-bat. Cutters and a sinker, couple of curveballs and changeups in this mix to Rudd.
Runners on the move again, and that is inside. Rudd flips the bat down, takes his base, and here comes Ernie Whitt. Who would have thought he'd be making this walk at this point in the first inning?
I tell you what, these games in this WBC are so unpredictable. You think you can map out everything to your favor, and reluctantly Ernie Whitt takes the baseball from Cal Quantrill, and you can bet this young man is extremely disappointed.
Philippe Aumont on his way in. Great Britain still in the first, up 3-0. One of the great images from the qualifier in Germany when Great Britain clinched their first ticket to the World Baseball Classic. Anthony Seymour planted the flag, and they knew they were in. What a great accomplishment for such a young program. Now they're looking for their first World Baseball Classic win, and here is Seymour, the 9th man to come to the plate. Philippe Aumont, the big right-hander who pitched in the big leagues. During COVID, he decided to give it all up and become a farmer, and then after has continued to pitch. And he's trying to finish this inning, a disastrous one for Canada. High chopper, lots of speed. Aumont has it, and the big man gets there just in time. Not many farmers can run like that. Great Britain, and this may be a review. Great Britain is holding the umpires right now to take a look to see if they want to challenge this. Major League rules, you can challenge.
Pretty close over at first base. They have one challenge up into the 8th inning. Antoine Richardson is checking on the bang-bang play at first. Seymour stretching out, trying to beat Aumont to the bag, and Aumont was there first. I don't think they'll challenge that. Boy, what an inning for Great Britain.
No challenge. Aumont finishes the inning. And a 3-0 lead for Great Britain. How about this? Edouard Julien is in the box. First swings for Canada against Akil Morris, former big leaguer, the 30-year-old right-hander out of the Virgin Islands. First pitch smoked, right field, deep, gone. Hello, Edouard Julien, one of the top prospects that Canada has produced over the last few years, and this guy can absolutely rake.
Well, what a way to get your team right back into it. Jump on the first pitch you see in this tournament and hit a line drive out of the ballpark. He's played 2 minor league seasons. He's from Quebec City in Quebec, and he is a terrific prospect, and he can swing it. So can this guy, Freddie Freeman.
So Freddie Freeman, that's a tough act to follow. Freeman and Morris briefly were teammates in Morris's trek through the major leagues in Atlanta. And a changeup and a swing and a miss.
And Morris has pitched in 18 big league games. In Atlanta, he was in 8 games in 2017, teammate of Freeman's.
Freddie Freeman, and that is foul. That home run by Julien, he is the 12th player in World Baseball Classic history to homer in his first WBC plate appearance. Trace Thompson became number 11 last night. We have great researchers here. Matt Orso has been with us throughout this World Baseball Classic. That one came from Sarah Langs, the rock star researcher who I was so thrilled to meet the other night in our hotel. She's here and researching. And she had that note. I didn't even have a chance to get it out. I was going to drop it when Trace Thompson homered, but then Julien sees the first pitch. Now Sarah's going to have to find out how many of those 12 homers came on the first pitch.
Yeah. 110 miles an hour off the bat as Julien really established himself quickly, and we told you he can swing the bat, and he didn't waste any time proving us right.
Freeman, his second appearance with Team Canada in the World Baseball Classic, and he walks.
Let's take a look at this swing by Julien. It's a high fastball, and he jumps all over it. You know, Canada was down 3-0, and Julien's probably thinking, man, I got to do something to get us right back in this game. And boy, did he ever. And right behind him after that leadoff home run, the veteran Freddie Freeman takes a walk.
And that's one of the things for Great Britain that's of concern, and that is their pitching staff. They were able to scratch out 3 runs in the first inning. The question is now, can they back that up with enough pitching to hold on to this lead? Tyler O'Neill, the center fielder. You've got Jared Young, a lefty bat, on deck.
Yeah, Morris has got to throw strikes. You just can't walk these hitters and get them back in the game. Last night, 6 walks and a hit mattered against Team USA, and that led to their demise. Throw it over, give your defense a chance to help you out.
That one's hit hard and into left field. That's a base hit. Homer walk single for this lineup to begin with. You've seen Julien, you saw Freeman. That's Tyler O'Neill. And the rest of Canada's lineup looks this way. Jared Young is a bopper, a left-handed bat, the DH. Otto Lopez, Abraham Toro in there. Bo Naylor, terrific young catcher for the Guardians. Owen Casey and Jacob Robson. Now here is Young. Got to the big leagues with the Cubs for 6 games last year. Had a lot of power in AAA at Iowa.
That's the best pitch Morris has. A great changeup, just 76 miles an hour. But until and unless he establishes that he can throw strikes with his fastball, the Canadian hitters can just sit on that changeup. You've got to throw enough fastball strikes to make that changeup effective.
That was pretty effective.
Lots of run on that changeup, and that one was just 74 miles an hour.
And with all the great left-handed bats that Team Canada has, that was the decision for Drew Spencer. He had a lefty that he thought about starting, but this changeup, Buck, is the reason that Morris got the ball. See if he triples up. Yeah, 74, and that's 74. That's a big out. And it'll bring up Otto Lopez.
First out of the inning for Morris, and you just have to wait, let him turn it loose before you commit. And you can see how far out in front Jared Young was on that changeup. That's a great changeup. But as you see Morris during the course of the game, you can just sit on that changeup. He's got to hit with that fastball just enough to make them honor that pitch, and then the changeup will become more effective.
Lopez, the shortstop, a 24-year-old. He was born in the Dominican, moved to Montreal when he was a kid. Has climbed to AAA with the Blue Jays. Has 10 major league at-bats. He's actually 6 for 10 in the big leagues, so there's that. He had a really nice year in Buffalo numbers-wise. 297 average, 378 on base. Has speed.
He had a good spring with the Blue Jays before he joined Team Canada. He was really swinging the bat well, and he can play all over the diamond. He's got some time in the outfield. But in AAA last year, Buffalo, he hit 297. And, of course, the Blue Jay fans here and Expo fans as well. He's got a Montreal hat on, too.
Well, why not try the changeup to righties if you can't throw the fastball for strikes? One of their top prospects for the Blue Jays. Buck, you've seen all of these guys.
Yeah, and they have some good-looking young prospects, of course. And they got two of the better young players in the majors in Bo Bichette and Vladimir Guerrero Jr.
2-2, changeup, and it's hit into left field. Rudd charging, Freeman holding. What an arm out there in left field. The youngster Rudd, also a young Blue Jay farmhand. Keeping the bags loaded.
Yeah, we saw Rudd in the workout here the other day, and the first thing that jumped out at me was his arm strength, and he charged that ball very well. Making his second start in this World Baseball Classic, he gets to it in pretty good shape. And Tim Leeper, the third base coach, a veteran big league coach, throws up the stop sign. He looks at the left fielder and how quickly he got to the ball, and he put the stop sign on and stopped Freddie Freeman at third.
Here's Toro now. He's got a good deal of major league experience.
What a nice play by the catcher. Young catch, a couple of real young catchers in this ball game, and Ford saved a run right there for sure as he moved quickly to his right, got in front of that pitch.
It's fun to watch him last night because he was playing against a catcher that a lot of people compare him to skills-wise and potential-wise as well, and JT Realmuto. Toro ready. And there's a strike. It's 1-1.
There's that changeup that Lopez hits to left, and Leeper throws up the stop sign. The throw is right on the money, and a good one from Rudd.
That one is fouled back and out of play. Canada gave up 3 runs in the top of the first, but they've got him loaded here. Morris's pitch count is trending upward, and you've got a major league hitter at the plate in Abraham Toro, the switch hitter.
Toro's got parts of 4 seasons in the big leagues. He came up first with the Astros.
Very versatile guy. Did not have a great year at the plate for the Mariners last year.
Last year at 185, and that led to his being dealt to the Milwaukee Brewers. That's where he is right now. But he has hit 11 home runs in a season, career high.
Infield looking for a ground ball. They get one out there, coming home, out. Oh, dropped by Ford. The run scores. Racing to the plate, and in is O'Neill. And Canada gets two on what could have been a double play.
Now, Ward, for some reason, hesitated. I don't know if he didn't get a good grip on the baseball once he had stepped on the bag at first. But that hesitation threw his timing off, and he throws wide of the mark at home. And Ford, the catcher, couldn't handle the throw. Watch as the first baseman fields the ball, steps on the bag, and then hesitated, double clutched. He might not have had a good grip on the baseball and makes a bad throw. O'Neill, running with his heads up, sees the ball get away at home and comes in to score. And just like that, back to square one, 3-3.
And still an opportunity for Canada with a runner at third. That's Lopez, and Bo Naylor up now. And much like Quantrill, the pitch count for Morris has to concern Drew Spencer.
Here's the play at first as Ward steps on the bag, and then he hesitates. You can see he didn't get a good grip on the baseball and makes a throw, and it looked like Ford had a better chance to catch it than I thought initially. Just like went off his glove.
You know, watching that replay, it looked like the base runner may have been in his line of sight, or he's in his path to the plate. That's kind of the reverse interference, right?
Let's take a look at it again as he fields it now from foul territory. That's exactly what happened. He was waiting to avoid hitting that base runner. And the base runner, he has the right to stay in the baseline.
Naylor walks on a pitch that didn't miss by much.
This is another look here as Abraham Toro. You can see he is running directly towards first base, so he has the right to stay there. And that was certainly the reason that Nick Ward hesitated, and he throws wide of the mark at home.
Here's the irony. If Ward was a catcher and he was throwing to first and Toro was there and the ball hit him, or the umpire felt that he interfered in the throw, but it doesn't work on the on the backside,
now,
on the reverse stream.
Yeah, the base runner, he can hold his ground, and Ward just couldn't get enough clearance to make a good, strong throw to the plate. But at the same time, it looked to me on the review like Ford had a chance to catch the ball. It looked like it went off his glove. It wasn't as far off the mark as I thought. Now here's the whole play, and Toro's running right up the baseline, and you can see Nick Ward was getting around him, and it looked like Ford came off in front of home plate and had the ball go off his glove.
So a messy inning for both starters in the first. And here is Owen Casey. He's another one of these young Canadian prospects. Burlington, Ontario. Second round pick of the Padres, traded to the Cubs. Got big raw power. JP, you're down on the field. What did you see?
Rich, one thought. I'll make a hockey reference here. If Ford was the goalie, the shot was screened a little bit by Toro running down to first base. I really think there was a bit of a delay there in being able to pick up the throw coming from first base.
JP making a good hockey reference. Who was it, Julian, that wanted to talk to you about the World Junior Championships, or the right?
I'm ready for that too, Rich. Anytime, my friend.
Well, Casey's sitting on a good count, and Morris's pitch count is about to hit 31. This has all the earmarks of like a 12-10 game, because the starting pitchers aren't going that deep. In fact, Quantrill didn't even get out of the first inning. Morris struggling to get this last out here in the inning. At the corners. Lined into right field. And Canada has the lead. Owen Casey. Naylor into third. Lopez scoring.
Well, as deflated as Team Canada was after the top of the first, they are right back in this game and in fact have the lead. And it all started with that first pitch home run off the bat of Edouard Julien. And here Owen Casey comes up with another big hit. That's the fourth hit of the inning. And that's going to be the end of the inning as neither starter can get out of the first inning in this game.
Drew Spencer making the long walk out, and Canada maybe a bit of a sigh of relief after giving up a 3 spot in the top of the inning. 4-3 Canada. We're in the first still.
Well, we've got all kinds of action here in the first inning, and we'll take a look at last night's game, how the defense really led to the undoing of Great Britain. A bad throw by the shortstop Sweeney, and then Murray throws one wide of the mark. The third baseman made an error. And then today, unable to complete this play as Ward hesitated. He was charged with an error. And Team Canada, boy, they looked like they were dead in the water after the top of the first inning, and they have stormed back to take the lead. And we're still in the first inning, and we've had 2 relievers come into the game.
Cam Opp, a lefty, going to come into this ball game. And he starts Jacob Robson out with a fastball under the arms. Robson in the 9 spot. Big inning for Canada. Couple walks, throwing error. The leadoff home run by Julien. And by the way, our researchers, our crack staff, and we have many of them, Buck, have found that that's the very first player in WBC history in their first at-bat home run to hit it on the first pitch.
And this is the 5th tournament, so there have been a lot of opportunities.
Nobody's at first. This is going to be another run. And the sloppy defense bites Great Britain again. Naylor comes across.
That's a base hit, an infield hit. It went off the pitcher's glove. First baseman Ward came over, and you're right, nobody was going to be at first base even if it had been fielded cleanly. Naylor comes in to score the 5th run of the inning. 2 walks in the inning, they both come in to score, and you can see once that ball is tipped, they've got no chance to get it out. Boy, Great Britain is really playing tentative on defense, and you can see the hesitation all over the field.
And Opp misses outside. Opp currently with the New York Mets organization. This is about a almost a 50-minute first inning. And Opp misses outside. Opp was born in Denver. Family moved to Chicago and then relocated to London when he was 10. Pitched for Evansville.
Well, this inning has had a little bit of everything. We've had a home run. We've had 6 walks. 8 runs have scored. There have been 7 hits in the inning. We played 1 inning. Ernie Whitt and the pitching coach Greg Hamilton on his left. Abraham Toro, he was the runner up first that created the problem for Nick Ward, the first baseman.
The count 3-1 now. And there are a pair of arms throwing right now in Great Britain's bullpen.
That's the third walk issued by Great Britain this inning. And Team Canada walked 4. Now Freddie Freeman hitting with the bases loaded. It's a chance just to blow this inning wide open.
I hope you were with us at the outset of our telecast when we showed Freddie Freeman arriving to the diamond. Bags loaded, Freeman locked and loaded. And he fouls it off. You know, some players come in with entourages and people. Freddie came in with some people.
Yeah, he had his wife, 3 kids, and they took a
That's
picture
awesome.
on the field. That was awesome. He has embraced this event dramatically, and he has shared his experience with his younger teammates.
One of the best things I saw on social media this week was Freddie Freeman dressed from head to toe in his Team Canada gear, standing in the Dodger clubhouse, which is all blue, right?
Well, he had blue socks on.
He did. That was the only thing blue he had. Everything else was Canada red.
He had red shower shoes on.
And he had a huge smile, too, because he knew it. 1-1, pulls it on the ground. The shift should get him. Seymour to first, and a nightmare inning for Great Britain. Crazy first inning. 5-3 Canada on top. It lasted about 50 minutes. And Philippe Aumont takes aim at Great Britain here in the second.
Chavez Young scored the first run of the game when he drew a leadoff walk, stole a couple of bases. He stole second and then was in the front end of a double steal that led to the first run of the game.
That was Cal Quantrill's inning. And I think there were, even in the booth, it felt like just stunned surprise that Quantrill struggled as much as he did. He's been one of Major League Baseball's best starters over the last couple of years.
Yeah, and Quantrill had a strong finish to his season. And Tyler O'Neill now sitting on the bench, and you can bet he's awfully relieved that Team Canada has taken the lead. A lot of game left, folks. It's 5-3, and we're in the top of the second.
And guess what? Philippe Aumont, who's came in relief, former major leaguer, has walked Young, and here we go again with Trace Thompson coming up and a runner at first base. Now remember, I know it's a while ago, but Great Britain built that inning on speed. They drew walks, they stole 3 bases. One was a double steal with Young, who had stolen second, coming home from third when Koperniak, who's on deck, swiped second base. And he's got a big lead. Aumont, he's running, huge jump. Naylor's throw almost domes Aumont. And it bounces out to second base.
Yeah, Aumont turned and looked towards second, and that ball just sailed over his back. It almost hit him on the mound as Bo Naylor rushes his throw. Great jump at first base by Young, and the throw just barely skipped over the back of the pitcher. Look at that throw. It's right behind the mound. And you can bet Great Britain's going to continue to force the issue on the bases.
Thompson, who homered last night, and his double last night, I mean, he had an opportunity to hit 2 home runs. He hit a ball to center field that would have been out of a lot of ballparks. That in the 8th inning. Sitting on a 1-1. And he smokes it into center field. That's a base hit. Young was running on contact, and he's coming home, and he's going to score. And Great Britain has made it 5-4. That's crazy.
Well, this is the biggest concern for both of these teams, is the lack of depth in your bullpen. You don't have a lot of real strong arms down in that bullpen, and you're just hopeful that somebody can miss a few bats here. But Trace Thompson is putting on a show early in this tournament. O'Neill's got a strong arm, but he doesn't have much of a chance to throw out Young, who really runs well. And he got a break. He's fortunate that Julian didn't make a catch on the line drive. He didn't freeze, and it was just barely over Julian's glove into center. So Young has walked twice and scored twice.
And a World Baseball Classic for stolen bases in a game, he's got 3 already. Thompson has speed. He might not be at first base very much longer. That one is shot foul down the left field line. Koperniak walked back in the first. RBI hits by Nick Ward, Darnell Sweeney in the first, and now here Trace Thompson.
Koperniak has a stolen base, and Team Canada with the dramatic shift. 3 defenders on the right side of second base.
Well, he was taking a shot at that, and the shift, as you pointed out, had Toro, the third baseman, way out by the normal shortstop position.
Now, Otto Lopez is straight away at shortstop, and now they're trying to figure out how they want to play it. No, actually, that's Lopez up the middle. He's the shortstop, and you can see Koperniak trying to shoot that ball down the third base line.
And that's what Nick Ward did for his single. Helped that 3-run inning along. A run across. And that one is fouled back. You know, Philippe Aumont is a guy, and you see this in World Baseball Classic with teams. Pitched in the major leagues, shut it down for maybe a year, and has, you know, stuck with it for international competition and for the chance to play in this tournament. Huge jump by Thompson. Ball kicks loose. Thompson makes a left turn and holds second. That was an impossible pitch to block for Bo Naylor.
Boy, and Trace Thompson, I mean, he literally had a running start over at first base. Here's the block as that ball is well out in front of home plate, and Naylor gets a chest protector on it. But watch the jump. I mean, he's got 3 full strides before Aumont even initiates his pitch to the plate.
Check swing. I think he went. He did. And he's out.
First inning, Team Great Britain, they had to utilize their speed. They draw 4 walks, and Chavez Young had 2 stolen bases in the inning. The first run came in on a stolen base, and here you see these small ball. Put the bat on the ball, take advantage of the opportunity, and you can score some runs. It's a 5-4 game, and we're in the top of the second.
Now here's young Harry Ford, who is 0 for 5 with 3 strikeouts so far, including last night against Team USA. He had an opportunity in the first and went down swinging. The only strikeout for Cal Quantrill. And Aumont dials up 91.
Yeah, that's his best fastball so far in this game. 91 miles an hour. He's been in the upper 80s with most of his sinking fastballs, and he has thrown a slow curveball as slow as 78.
Ford fouls it back. Evan Rutsky, the lefty, in the bullpen. Thompson's got a good sized lead, and Naylor just got enough of that to keep it from rolling behind the umpire.
Yeah, it was a breaking ball to his right, and looked like he was thinking about making a back pick to second base, and he was trying to back at it. He was fortunate he got just enough of it to keep it close at home, so Thompson couldn't advance.
Pitch is in. Naylor tried to frame it.
So here's this previous pitch. It's a breaking ball away, and Naylor tries to backhand it, and he was looking at second base as if he thought about a back pick on Trace Thompson, but he's fortunate that didn't go all the way back to the backstop.
Two. Breaking ball is pulled foul.
I think one thing that's very interesting about the dynamics of tournaments like this, Philippe Aumont is 34 years old, and the hitter, Harry Ford, is 20.
Yeah.
A wide gap in experience and age.
Ford fouls it back. He's not the only, Aumont is not the only Major League veteran who's in the bullpen for Team Canada. John Axford is in that bullpen as well. Two big guys. Axford last pitched in the big leagues for the Brewers in 2021. Aumont was competing for a bullpen spot with the Blue Jays in 2020 when the pandemic hit and he decided to be a farmer. This is a much better at bat, more competitive at bat for Harry Ford.
Yeah, each at bat he's going to be a little more confident, a little more relaxed, and have a better idea. First time you play on a big stage like this in a World Baseball Classic, it takes a while for the youngsters to get relaxed.
Ninth pitch and a swing and a miss.
A big slow breaking ball, and Harry Ford strikes out for a second time. Aumont using a combination of sweeping breaking balls, change ups, and that ball is well off the plate, and Ford was way out in front, fooled badly by that breaking pitch.
How much information does a team like Canada have on these Great Britain hitters that they are confident enough to put a shift in? Because remember, Ward poked one through the shortstop hole for an RBI hit his last time up. And here he is again. He takes a strike.
Yeah, I always ask myself that same question when I'm doing a major league game. When you've got a minor leaguer coming up for the first time, facing major league pitching for the first time, and you're going to shift on him. Where do you get your information? But they have a lot of information from the minor leagues, and they will unite all their different organizations trying to get as much information passed on to these teams as possible. We see a lot of their scouting reports, and they'll have heat maps for strengths and weaknesses of the hitters. But I'm with you, too. I think you have to set up your defense more to what your pitcher is doing than what the hitters can.
I'd like to see the Nick Ward heat map than if you've got one, because he was in the Frontier League last year.
Yeah.
He's a good hitter, too. He's 2 years in the minor leagues. And, again, he's one of those guys, and we've pointed it out yesterday. The minor leagues contracted. You know, some of it was COVID, but a lot of it was cost saving by major league organizations. And there's a lot fewer minor league slots out there for guys like him. I mean, he had an on base 2 years in the minors of 364. Thompson's got a good lead. Aumont and a high pop up. This should end the inning. Toro makes the catch. Great Britain manufactures yet another run. Canada going to the bottom of the second with a 5-4 lead. Oh, Canada. Some terrific players. The Naylor brothers. Russell Martin is here on the staff. Love Matt Stairs.
Terry Poole's in the Canadian Hall of Fame. He made his name with the Astros. Larry Walker is the first base coach, the Hall of Famer from British Columbia. He's the first base coach. Russell Martin is one of the coaches, and there's Larry Walker. What a player. He can do everything on a baseball field. Big guy, had power, hit for average, run bases, terrific outfielder with a strong arm. And of course, Russell Martin, he had a great run with the Blue Jays.
You know,
been to the playoffs a couple of times.
Funny thing is, Tyler O'Neill steps in. The funny thing about Larry Walker, just in doing research and looking at Owen Casey, the 20-year-olds, who's in the lineup for Team Canada. There was a note that said he's the highest Canadian-born draft pick of an outfielder. I thought to myself, well, wait a minute, Larry Walker was an outfielder. How was he a higher draft pick than Larry Walker? Larry Walker was not drafted. How does that happen, Buck
Well,
Martinez?
and you know, you raised a point about the contraction of the minor leagues. I think there's another great example of you have to have places for these kids to play so they can develop. Not everybody's a first rounder, and not everybody's going to be rushed through your minor league system. You have to have places for them to play.
That's a tough spot for a pop-up, and Ward can't run it down.
Most teams have 4 minor league teams now, and they might have a complex league where they play at their spring training complex. But in the years past, some teams, and you go back to the 40s and 50s, the Yankees had 3 AAA teams.
Well, that was a bit much. But, I mean, back to Walker, I would expect it had something to do with another sport, but that, you know, when he was signed, it was clearly, hey, this guy's a great enough athlete. Let's stick him in there.
Yeah, he was a hockey player, and like so many young Canadians, thought he was going to play in the NHL, and certainly played his way into the Baseball Hall of Fame. And he did it with a lot of terrific skills.
Tyler O'Neill walks. Cam Opp into his second inning of relief. And here's Jared Young. We saw that montage of great Canadian players, and just the tip of the iceberg, really. There are some, you know, top-level Canadian major leaguers who, because of injuries or just their situation, are not here. Bo Naylor's brother, Josh Naylor, remember, he's still kind of got that lingering ankle issue. Joey Votto had the shoulder last year.
Nick Pivetta, the Red Sox, he's dealing with some physical issues, and he opted out. And you know, it's difficult, and you can understand when players are coming back from injury or fighting for a spot on a roster, how they might be reluctant to leave their big league club during spring training.
Jared Young struck out back in the first. That was an Akil Morris start for Great Britain. And Morris faced just 8 hitters and gave up the 5 runs. O'Neill's at first. And that pitch is down low.
You know, getting back to Walker, when you think about it, I don't think Canada was subject to the draft when Larry Walker came
That may
through.
have been it as well.
I think that's more of it than anything. I think the fact that Canada was added along with Puerto Rico into the draft, and that's why he wasn't drafted.
That explains it.
Yeah.
But he was a great hockey player.
Yeah, very good hockey player. Larry Walker could have done anything. He has that kind of physical skills. There's the pitching coach coming out.
That's
He's going
Zach.
to have a visit with his left-hander, and the walk, something you just can't avoid. You got to throw it over.
You're just
defense is helpless when you walk batters.
If you're just happening by this ball game, it's been a mess early for both pitching staffs. A slew of stolen bases for Great Britain as they've manufactured 4 runs. 5 would equate to a slew this early in the game. 5 stolen bases, including a double steal, which included a steal of home. A lot of walks. Russell Martin is entertained. And let's be honest, he looks like he could still play and play well.
14-year big leaguer Russell Martin was a terrific player with the Yankees, Dodgers. Started out with the Dodgers, went to New York, Pittsburgh, and the Blue Jays. 4-time All-Star, won a Gold Glove in 2007 and a Silver Slugger that same year.
10 walks, 9 outs in this game.
8 hits. Yeah. That kind of game where pitching is so important. I don't care where you play, what kind of baseball you play. It's all based on whether or not you can throw strikes. From little league to the big leagues, you got to throw it over.
Lopez, roller, should be 2. Sweeney gets the 2.
Boy, he almost didn't complete it because he was bobbling the ball as he was headed toward second base, and he wasn't really that clean. Watch how he gloves it off the thumb.
Whoa.
It's sitting on his glove. He's very lucky that he could finally barehand it before he gets to second, steps on the bag, and completes the double play. But that was almost another big mistake.
Abraham Toro, switch hitter. First at bat was from the other side of the plate. He bounced out. Now against the lefty, stands in. That is a fair ball and down the line, and that's going to chase home another run. Toro around first has the double. Jared Young scores, and Canada's lead is 6-4.
Toro grew up in Quebec, and he broke into the big leagues with the Astros. He comes up with another big hit, and that's going to be the end of the line for the pitcher. And Toro knocks in the 6th run of this game. And he was the guy that had that adventurous trek up the first baseline that led to an error by the first baseman.
Great Britain used a lot of different arms last night, so getting taxed this early is a red flag. 6-4 Canada. Pitch limits, rest restrictions. 50 pitches thrown, you need 4 days rest. A lot of the starting pitchers run into that. 30 pitches thrown, 1 day rest. And if you pitch in 2 consecutive days, you need 1 day rest as well. Bo Naylor now. And that's a strike. The Naylors played together last year in Cleveland. Bo was actually the first into that organization. Josh, of course, was drafted, one of the top draft picks of the Marlins, found his way to the San Diego organization and then to Cleveland. And Bo takes up and in. How many stolen bases did you have in your career, Buck Martinez, former Major League catcher?
Maybe 5 over 17 years.
Well, Bo Naylor had 20 last year in AA and AAA. But, you know, with guys like Real Muto, and we've talked about Harry Ford and his athleticism, that's changed.
Yeah, it's changed a lot. There are a lot of good athletes behind the plate. And, you know, and when you think about it, a lot of these guys, they started out as infielders like Harry Ford. He played a lot of infield coming up and moved behind the plate. Very good athlete.
Swing and a miss. And Mackenzie Mills, who comes in, the lefty, with a sweeping breaking ball, strikes out Naylor, ends the inning. Had a run for Canada. It's a 2-run lead. To the 3rd we go.
It's a long way from London to the beautiful campus of Dartmouth College in Hanover, New Hampshire. Red Rolfe Field. That is where Drew Spencer played his college baseball. Of course, a native of the great state of California, but his baseball dreams took him east and then eventually over the Atlantic, where he has helped to grow the game of baseball in the London area.
JP, thank you. BJ Murray, Darnell Sweeney, and Jaden Rudd. That's just the beginning of the story, though, Buck and JP, because he, you know, one of the things that Spencer, you know, you go to Dartmouth and he was unable to crack it into professional baseball. That's a drive down the left field line. That's a base hit. And BJ Murray scampers in with a double. Marketing, he was very successful as a business person. He had a young son in England and never really thought about coaching or doing anything like that. And JP, it just happened to be a T-ball. I mean, not many managers get their start in T-ball, right? That's where he started.
It's an amazing story, all thanks to his son Malachi. When he was 5 years of age, enrolls in T-ball in the London area. And of course, the question, the eternal youth sports question, does anyone here have experience coaching this sport? And Drew here, he thought he was going to be able to read the Sunday paper and relax. Then he just had to reluctantly raise that hand. He's kept it raised now for 2 decades. And I just really love what Drew said yesterday to us about how you can win in international baseball through the years, through the decades. This is a building block that as we speak here, and of course our broadcast is now going to London. It's prime time there, Sunday evening. The pubs are watching this game. It's impossible to know how many great things will come from this game and this team competing on this stage.
Evan Rutsky is the pitcher for Canada, and his fastball was swung on and missed by Darnell Sweeney.
Yeah, you never know what kid over in London is going to be captured by these players, watching them play with Great Britain on their uniform and say, you know what, that looks like an interesting game. Maybe I'll give it a go.
And the moral of the story is just say yes to T-ball. You know, the other part of his story was he thought about getting back into baseball. He called Paul DePodesta, and because DePodesta, obviously one of the lieutenants for Sandy Alderson, and he actually had an interview to join Oakland's front office, but he was making so much money, he said, in his day job. That's a strike at the letters. And down goes Sweeney. He just didn't think that that was the time, you know, young family, good salary. So he said no. He turned down that opportunity, but here he is now as a manager. That's a pretty good pitch.
Just right at the top of the zone with the fastball as Rutsky gets the strikeout first out of the inning, and you can see Spencer said that ball is up, and the umpire hear it.
Got a pinch hitter here, Deshaun Knowles, with the lefty on the mound. Knowles came in last night and tripled in the 7th inning.
He's hitting for Jaden Rudd, and that's who he hit for in the game last night. He's got some speed, man. He can fly around the bases.
So a double by Murray. That one is in the gap, and that could get to the wall. Let's see that speed. Murray's going to score. Knowles to second with a double. And it's 6-5 Canada. And there, a little cup of tea in the afternoon here in Phoenix.
Well, and Knowles had a triple in the 7th inning, came around to score the 2nd run for Great Britain, and he didn't waste any time. Looked like a changeup down below the knees, and he stays on it, and he hits this one in the gap. It goes all the way to the wall in left center. As O'Neill plays it back in very quickly, he's thinking extra bases. Boy, it looked like he might have. He came close to missing the bag at first base as he stumbled around and making his turn.
Here's Seymour in the 9 spot. He's bounced out. Rolls it down the third base line. It's wide of Toro and the bag, and it's a foul ball. I love this. I mean, I love everything about this team and what they're about. The little cup of tea, the crown and the cape for the king when Trace Thompson homered yesterday.
Yeah, you hit a home run for Great Britain, and they have a sword and a crown and a robe, and they knight you when you get back to the dugout.
I just love the fact that they've embraced all that stuff. Rutsky gets a strike, and the count's 0-2. Rutsky pitched in Australia last as a pro. Had a solid year for the Melbourne Aces.
Well, he's a big kid. He's 6'5". He's not a kid anymore. He's 31 years old. He's from Windsor, Ontario, near Detroit. And he was actually drafted by the Barrie Colts of the Ontario Hockey League.
Well, there you go.
Big, strong kid, two-way player, obviously hockey and baseball. That's not an unusual combination. It's very prominent in Canada.
Runner goes, big jump. Throw is in time. Out at third base.
They're going to have a look at it as
Knowles thought he was safe.
Yep. Good strong throw by Naylor. Antoine Richardson, the bench coach, checking with video. Here's a look at the play. Great shot, and it looks like he beats it. His hand appeared to be on the base, but is it enough to overturn the call? And
this is the of Pool C is a big moment. It's our first replay review, and it's the exact same mechanism as in the major leagues. Antoine Richardson calling the video room saying, yeah, let's challenge it. And here's another look.
Watch how he reaches for the far side of the base, trying to avoid the tag, and it looked like that tag by Toro is a little bit late.
Yeah, he's in there. This is going to be the 6th stolen base, a new World Baseball Classic record of the game.
Yeah, he appeared to beat the tag. The tag was high on his left arm, but it appeared that hand hit the base before the tag was applied. We'll have to wait and see. The only thing that's different about this review is the umpires do not have the ability to speak to the crowd.
The crowd and the Great Britain dugout just reacted to the replay up on the board. See, this is an emotional, fun team. That's Chavez Young.
And we mentioned Young. He took note of the way Team USA played against them in last night's game and said, man, we got to play 27 outs. There's no big lead big enough to call off the Dogs and just keep playing. He said, play for 27 outs. You never know what might happen. And that looks to be the case here this afternoon.
It's always interesting to watch players like this play in a major league type game with major league type stuff. And it's like they've watched this and they know exactly what to do to call for a replay. They know the whole procedure because they see it on television. Now they get to use that.
Oh,
you're kidding me.
Yeah, Bill Miller, the first base umpire, he put his right hand in the air to indicate the call was upheld. So maybe there just wasn't enough evidence to overturn the call. And
well, look, if you were Buck Martinez umpire reviewing that, what would you have said?
Yeah, it looked to me like he beat the tag. But they're pretty good on those reviews in New York. They have all the different angles, and they didn't have enough information to overturn the call.
That is a huge, huge replay review. And the verdict is in. That's not going to go over well in all those pubs over in England right now. Bottom three, 6-5, Canada on top of Great Britain. Mackenzie Mills stays in there for the Brits. Owen Casey standing in for Canada. Casey an RBI single back in the first.
McKenzie came into the game and struck out Bo Naylor to close out the Canadians in the bottom of the second.
Center field. That ball's deep. Back goes Thompson. Looking up. Gone! That hit over the yellow line. Casey's acting like it's still in play, and he's going to make sure. But the signal from the umpire immediately was home run. That is a big boy home run over a tall wall in straightaway center.
Yeah, Casey hit a home run in the exhibition game against Seattle. And as a youngster playing on his junior national team, he hit a home run against the Blue Jays down in Dunedin a couple years ago. And boy, he's got some big power. And you're right, that ball is hit a ton to center field, and he saw it bounce back on the field of play, and he wasn't going to take any chances. But look at this powerful swing. He's 2 for 2 and squares that thing up. I mean, that's a terrific home run hitter swing. Watch how it hits the top of that yellow line.
Oh.
It looked like it hit on top and went straight
If
up.
this is reviewable, and it's
Yeah.
being reviewed. If it hits the yellow line and doesn't bounce out, that's not a home run. The yellow line is there just to help umpires delineate between in play and out of play.
But he didn't take any chances. He did the right thing, running around the bases at full speed. Here's another look at it. It's so hard to tell.
Boy,
where
from
it
that
hit.
angle,
Yeah.
it's going to stand. That's going to be a home run. And here's Robson, 7-5 Canada. Little bunt, Mills off the mound. Robson's got it easily. That's a nice bunt, well executed.
Now, Robson's got a couple of hits in his 2 plate appearances. He had a base hit off the pitcher's glove back in the first, and now he's got a terrific bunt. This is picture perfect. Not much that the pitcher could do with it, and you can see Robson was across the bag before the throw got to first base.
And you make a big left-hander come off and field that. Here is Julien. First pitch he saw, he hit in the seats for a home run. That started the scoring for Canada back in the first. Julien, I mean, everywhere he's been, he's hit. 2 minor league seasons, a single A and a double A season. He had a great year at double A Wichita last year. 300 average, 441 on base, 490 slug, 17 homers, 19 stolen bases in 113 games. And then he followed that up in the fall league by absolutely lighting that place on fire.
Hit 400 in the fall league, and he was one of the rising stars in the Arizona Fall League. And boy, he's had an interesting path to professional baseball. He grew up in Quebec and went to Auburn in Alabama. And he told me the other day that when he got to Auburn, he couldn't speak any English. He only spoke French.
Well,
And,
Alabama is a certainly.
culture shock, huh?
I was going to say something, but the French language spoken openly in Alabama, but not really.
But he always responded to anything anybody asked him with, yes. Can you play second? Yes. What are you going to play today? Left? Yes.
Runner goes, big jump, terrific throw, and safe at second base. Robson, using his wheels, is in scoring position.
Yeah, Robson played out at Mississippi State. He was drafted by the Tigers in 2016. And he grew up in Windsor, Ontario. He, in fact, is a good friend of Brett Siddle, who is Joe Siddle's son. Joe's a broadcaster on Rogers Sportsnet, Blue Jays baseball. They all grew up in Windsor, played a lot of ball together.
We have another look. Watch the ball. Does it hit the wall and then come?
Ooh, it hit the top of the yellow. And that is above the boundary for a home run. So I think it would have been a home run no matter what. Casey did the right thing. He never left it to doubt as he hustled around the bases.
Julien walks. And so Mackenzie Mills now has worked himself into a very uncomfortable spot. Freddie Freeman, first and second, nobody out.
You know, Freddie Freeman's playing in his second World Baseball Classic, of course. He's a big-time major leaguer. He's had a great career. And yesterday, during the workouts at Salt River Fields, the younger players came up to Freddie when he was shagging in the outfield and asked him, how do you handle the emotions of these big games? And he had some great advice to him. He said, hey, you embrace the emotion. If you're nervous, acknowledge that and just try to get through it.
Freeman on a line into center field. Thompson has it on a hop. Runner holds at third. Thompson's throw right to the cutoff man. And Freeman's single loads the bases. And there's still nobody out.
Yeah, Freddie's first hit of the day. He has walked and scored. He's officially 1 for 2. But to continue what he told his young teammates was, in 2012, I had my first postseason at bat against the Cardinals and Kyle Loesch. And I was so nervous I was shaking in my boots and struck out. But I got past that and ended up with 3 hits in the game. Went 3 for 4 in my first postseason game, and the rest is history. Boy, he can hit. And he has been one of the best hitters in the big league since he has made his mark and established himself. And he gets the base hit and loads the bases once again.
And chases a reliever again. Mackenzie Mills on his way out. Drew Spencer has to go to his bullpen one more time. It's 7-5 Canada, and it's the 3rd inning. This is Pool C of the World Baseball Classic. Canada and Great Britain, and it's been a run fest so far. 7-5 Canada, bottom of the 3rd. And another pitching change. 4th pitcher to work for Great Britain. Andre Scrub, the lefty. Let's check in with JP Morosi, because this guy looks familiar.
Faces in the crowd indeed. This is Pete Crow Armstrong, one of the top prospects in Major League Baseball and a fellow Cubs prospect and teammate of Owen Casey. And Rich, you could see the reaction of Pete Crow Armstrong during that mammoth home run to center field by Owen Casey. Check it out. Look how excited Pete is for his friend. This is the magic of the World Baseball Classic. Of course, Pete Crow Armstrong is from the LA area, but here he is certainly on Team Owen Casey.
That was awesome. Great
really
reaction, huh? Couple of Cub prospects having a good time here in the World Baseball Classic.
Infield is in, bags are loaded, nobody's out. And in a game where we've played 2.5 innings plus, 12 runs, 14 hits.
Andre Scrub, he's got some experience with the Houston Astros. And an off-speed pitch there. Good late movement on that pitch. Looked like a splitter from Scrub.
It feels like for Canada, they could just crack this game wide open. But it also feels like they may not be able to hold that lead. And you feel that way with both teams. O'Neill to right, and that could chase him home. That's a diving stop by Young in right. Lost the ball. 1 run across, 2 runs across. Here comes Freeman. That chases them all home. Tyler O'Neill, 10-5.
Well, he made a good call as they could bust it wide open. It's 10-5 now as Tyler O'Neill. He's had 3 great trips to the plate, and boy, watch how he stays on this pitch. It's a breaking ball that's up in the zone, and he doesn't try to do too much with it. He takes it out into the gap in right center. Young tries to cut it off, knocks it down, but it squirts away from him, and that allows all 3 base runners to score as O'Neill drives him in with a double.
Jared Young takes strike 1.
Bases loaded for Tyler O'Neill, and the veteran of the Cardinals. He knows what to do. Just go the other way, pick up some RBIs. Young knocks it down, but can't field it cleanly. And that allows them all to come around as Freeman scores all the way from first.
Freeman read it really well off the bat. He was bolting as soon as that was headed towards the gap. This is one of those games, Buck, in terms of time and just the way the game has unfolded, that most people in the ballpark have probably made multiple visits to a concession stand for a beverage.
You getting hungry?
No, well, yeah, but I'm thinking of the British fans at the pubs. There are 5 official watch parties set up at some pubs in England. The Passayunk Avenue in London, Base Bar in Manchester, the Jersey Lily in Bristol, and in Cardiff at the Barry Rugby Club, and Belushi's in Edinburgh. I kind of like the last 2. I mean, if I had to choose, I would go Barry Rugby Club or maybe Belushi's.
It sounds like they've got some fans, and I'm sure they're having a pretty good time, and certainly have had lots of time to partake.
That's where I was headed with it. The people at the pub have been there a while, and I'll bet you they're having a great time. Otto Lopez takes down low for Canada. Lopez singled and scored in that first inning. Great Britain had a 3-0 lead in the first that disappeared quickly when Canada put 5 on the board. There really hasn't been a half inning yet without runs or multiple base runners or pitchers in distress.
Canada is 6 for 12 with runners in scoring position, taking advantage of all their scoring opportunities. Great Britain's 4 for 11. They've stranded 4.
Remember the look on Ernie Whitt's face in the first when he came out and had to lift Cal Quantrill, one of the best major league starters. I mean, that's ball 4. Let's check in with JP, not on pubs in England, but he's got something else.
No,
right?
I'll have that scouting report later, Rich. How about this? I love the play that Chavez Young made here. Watch this. He didn't so much lose control of it as he redirected it with his right arm. You see it there? He knew that Trace Thompson had a better angle. Chavez Young was facing right field in the fence. Trace Thompson coming forward. I actually love the play that Chavez Young made to get it to a player who was in a better position to make the throw.
Yeah, once he knocked it down with his glove, he wasn't going to be able to get up and make any opportunity. So he was hopeful that Trace Thompson was there. Maybe he could save one of the runs, but that wasn't the case as Freeman came around and scored, cleared the bases. Freeman scoring all the way from first.
Abraham Toro. Abraham Toro had, as I remember it, just a incredible homestand and road trip all in one in Seattle. The Astros and the Mariners were playing a series, and he was actually traded from one team to the other, and he homered like in consecutive games, one for each team.
Yeah, and he was traded for Kendall Graveman and just went back and forth, and he has had some interesting moments. He had a home run in a scoreless game in Toronto at Rogers Center in Justin Verlander's second no-hitter at Rogers Center against the Blue Jays. And he also made a terrific defensive play in that game in support. And after Verlander secured the final out of the game to notch the no-hitter, all he could think of is, where's Toro? Where's Toro? He wanted to celebrate with Abraham Toro.
All right, here's the home run.
Toro wasn't scheduled to start in this game, and there's the home run, the opposite field. He had a lot of family and friends over from Quebec to help him enjoy this, and Verlander, I mean, he's locked in. He's throwing a no-hitter, and Toro hits the home run the opposite field and would make another defensive play to preserve the home run. Abraham told me, he said, I wasn't supposed to play in that game. He said, Yuli Gurriel got hit by a pitch the night before on the elbow, and he was in the lineup, and then Gurriel said, hey, I can't make it. So Toro got the nod and got a chance to have a historic night. Played in a no-hitter and hit a home run to win it.
Probably got a nice dinner from Verlander. And a swing and a miss. JP, you've got more on Toro.
Rich, this is a proud day for baseball in Quebec. 3 of the 4 starting infielders are from La Belle Province. You've got Julien at second, Lopez at short, and Toro at third. Earlier today, I did ask Toro, how is the 4th member of the infield, Freddie Freeman? How is his French? He said, still a work in progress right now for Freddie.
Yeah, and even Freddie talked about that, didn't he, JP? It's like all of a sudden he realized the infield was speaking a language that he didn't.
I grew up in Orange County. That's like going to Auburn and expecting somebody to speak French.
That is not Le Grand Orange, right? Bo Naylor, Brian Adams' walk-up song to a nice touch here in the World Baseball Classic for Naylor. Four runs across here in the 3rd inning. And Scrubbs splits the plate for a strike. 9th man to hit in the inning. Naylor has walked and struck out. That's out. When you are the 5th seed in one of these pools, the schedule is not your friend. You get one home game as the home team. And in 5 days of day-night doubleheaders, everybody plays once. They're the only team that doesn't have an off day. That's a breaking ball. So they start and go for 4 straight. And then the last day of games, they're not playing. Canada has a similar situation, but only in reverse. They didn't play yesterday, and then they go for 4 straight. And so pitching and depth, it's a little different wrinkle for a manager when you don't have that off day. And it seems, it's like, hey, no big deal. But it certainly was a big deal, and it affected the Mexico-Colombia game because Colombia used their closer for 2 innings yesterday into extra innings. They had a day off today, and that certainly helped that decision. Runner goes, swing and a miss, and a long inning for Canada, and a good one for Canada. 4 more runs and a 10-5 lead. Onward, upward to the 4th. '23 World Baseball Classic 101. Some things to remember: the pool locations, how you advance. You got to be the top 1 or 2 teams out of the 5-team pool to advance. Pitch count limits, that's to protect pitchers. Early termination rule. We thought we might see that last night, but Great Britain played a really nice ball game and lost 6-2 to Team USA. Down 10-5 here. Chavez Young, Trace Thompson, and Matt Koperniak for Great Britain. Evan Rutsky, the big lefty, who is, Buck pointed out, was drafted in hockey. Was it the Barrie Colts?
Yep.
He was also drafted by the Yankees in the 10th round.
Yeah, big guy, big, strong guy, 6'5". So many great hockey players played a lot of baseball in the summertime, and there was a lot of baseball played out in the prairies. Used to be a terrific college league out in the prairies where players, especially from the West Coast, would go into Alberta and Saskatchewan and play during the summer. A very competitive baseball league.
I've been to the prairies, Buck. It was on a hockey bus as the voice of the Spokane Chiefs of the Western Hockey League.
George Brett's team, huh?
I worked for the Bretts.
Yeah.
Absolutely. And we used to go out to places like Medicine Hat and Moose Jaw.
Red Deer.
Regina.
Yeah.
Red Deer not in the league at that time. Brandon was, the Wheat Kings.
Brandon, Manitoba, Wheat King. That's a great sports place.
Young knocks it into left field, and let's see if Great Britain can put some runs up on the board. Little sip there. Let's check in with JP.
Thanks, Rich. Whenever I see Freddie Freeman playing for Team Canada, I think it's important to remember the story and the name of Rosemary Freeman, Freddie's late mother. She passed away of cancer in June 2000, and Freddie has often spoken about what this uniform means to him and his family, certainly his father, Fred Sr., that every time he hears "O Canada," when he wears the maple leaf, it is in honor of Rosemary. And Rich and Buck, we both know that when you have a chance to speak with Freddie, he is always so eager to share stories about his mother. He says that by wearing this uniform, he helps to keep her memory alive.
Yeah, Rosemary was from Toronto, and Freddie, I mean, he, like you say, he loves to wear the maple leaf, loves to dress in the uniform and represent his family. And he does it very, very proudly. And there's so many great baseball locations from coast to coast in Canada when you think about it. I mean, there was a time when there were 3 AAA teams in Canada. The Vancouver Mounties, the Edmonton Trappers, and the Calgary Cannons.
Oh, I was there too, Buck.
Yeah? Oh, yeah. You made a lot of bus trips out west.
Pacific. Oh, we flew. That was AAA at that time in the Pacific Coast League.
Yeah.
And the best part of places like Nat Bailey Stadium in Vancouver and the ballpark in Calgary, Edmonton's ballpark.
Nat Bailey's in Hillcrest Park in Vancouver, one of the most beautiful baseball stadiums I've ever played in.
As well as being great cities. When we would go to Calgary during Stampede, which is incredible. Edmonton in the summer is a terrific place. Vancouver is so beautiful. But in all of those press boxes, they had an open beer tap. and as the pitch misses outside, and as a young broadcaster in AAA, that's pretty impressive.
Did they have Molson Canadian or Labatt Blue?
Yeah, it would go mostly Molson's. There was probably some Labatt's. Every now and then a Kokanee. But in a game like this, that would be dangerous, right? I mean, and you get those in AAA sometimes, where, and especially Calgary, where the ball flew. There were a few times that the broadcast crew for the Las Vegas Stars was having too good a time.
My son Casey played in Medicine Hat in the Royal system. Or Blue Jay system, excuse me. A lot of Blue Jays played at Medicine Hat. Lloyd Moseby started there. They had a great link with all those great places. London had a AA team, and they played at Labatt Park in the Eastern League. Quebec Metros in Montreal, Sherbrooke, Quebec had the Pirates team in AA.
Trace Thompson at the plate. Chavez Young at first, and Thompson walks. And, you know, we made the comment that, hey, Canada has a chance to crack it open, but there's a serious question whether they could hold that lead. And here is Great Britain with runners at first and second. You think back to that replay review, which to all of our eyes looked clearly like Seymour was safe, or rather Knowles was safe at third base on that stolen base. Inning ended shortly thereafter. This is going to be a pinch hit at bat for Justin Wiley.
Wiley got a couple of bats in the game last night. He came in as a pinch hitter for Koperniak, and he's hitting once again. He was 0 for 2 in his 2 pinch hitting opportunities last night. Don't go anywhere, folks. It's the 4th inning. And it doesn't seem as though either team has anybody that can get any outs. I mean, there has yet to be a 0 put up on the scoreboard in any half inning.
This game is 2 hours old, which means batting practice for Mexico and Team USA.
In jeopardy?
busted bat, and a foul ball. And by the way, I have discovered online that we could order food from Belushi's in London, where they're watching the game.
It might be a little late getting there.
At this pace? I don't think so.
Boy, you've probably got an open tab now at Belushi's, huh?
Yes. Apparently so. Wiley has a new bat. Gretzky checks the runners. Nobody out.
Well, you know, you're down by 5, but it's the 4th inning. I wouldn't be surprised if they try to double steal here just to keep the pressure on.
You can feel the pressure in the pool right now. That one pulled foul. This is, and we have determined this because I know they haven't remodeled the Tokyo Dome. This is the only venue in pool play that actually has pool play.
In right field.
In right field.
Yeah. I knew you were going to get that in at some point.
Schwarber's home run went over the pool last night. Breaking ball is inside.
You know, I've been in situations like this managing and playing, in fact, where you're just so frustrated figuring how can we get some outs. And I know Ernie Whitt, Denny Boucher, the pitching coach, are down there trying to figure out who can I bring into this game to kind of shut off the Great Britain team offensively.
Swing and a miss. Wiley strikes out. So this is a cool place when you're out in the pool in right center field in Arizona. You might just get a home run ball.
4th inning in a game last night with a couple of boards. Kyle Schwarber, he put a charge in it. 3-run home run. Over 400 feet beyond the pool in right field. National League home run leader went deep here last night and hit right up there above that wall. Right there.
Good work. As you saw Schwarber rounding the bases, it feels like for Team USA, their sign of celebration is a simple salute. We saw Mookie Betts, Schwarber, and some others doing that last night. Great Britain has the cup of tea going, which is fun. Harry Ford, left field, and deep, and gone! Oh! Cup of tea indeed.
He's going to get to wear the crown and the robe, and he'll be touched by the sword in that dugout. And how about that young fan?
That's right. Get the robe ready. Get the crown ready. Here comes Harry Ford.
Wow.
There it is. Your Highness.
Young doing the duties.
A 3-run shot. Very nice.
Harry Ford hit 3 home runs in the qualifying tournament in Germany. And boy, he hits a big home run back and forth. And once again, it's a 2-run game. Great Britain. And there's what I'm talking about. Ernie Whitt looking at his card says, can anybody get any outs here? Gosh.
Here is Ward now. And it's 10-8. And you know, on a serious note, because we've been certainly less than that in the last 15 minutes. But JP and you yesterday talked about managers managing in this environment, having to manage on parallel tracks. You're managing this game, but you're also managing the rest of the tournament. And I think that's more stress on Canada. This is their first game. And Ernie Whitt is like, oh, wait a minute, you know, tomorrow we've got the United States. The next day we've got Colombia. And then we finish with Mexico. Who can I bring in and who might I need tomorrow?
Yeah, the last team in each of these pools gets relegated to a point where they have to qualify for the next World Baseball Classic, and it's a big deal. You don't want to finish last in these pools. Plus, there's a financial reward for winning and finishing 4th in the 5-team pool. Great Britain, they're very aware of that. They have a very limited budget for their program. The manager told us it's about 25,000 pounds, and that's an annual budget to support the entire baseball program.
That's like a big night out at Belushi's.
We got to get Belushi to sponsor the team.
3-1. Or this broadcast. That's a strike as Ward had put the bat down. But it's a great point, because 4th place for a team like Great Britain, or when we were in Japan, China certainly helped their federation and that sport grow when they finished and won a game.
Boy, this is way upstairs, and that's a bad call. It was just high, and Felipe Tejada rings up the hitter, and now it's a full count.
Little tapper. Rutsky has it and just gets the out. Ward got down the line pretty well. Hey, if you haven't seen Harry Ford, you're going to see him for the next 20 years, okay? Here's a good look. Top prospect for the Seattle Mariners.
Harry Ford is a good-looking young player, very athletic, and he had a rough go of it in game 1. Went 0 for 4 with a couple of strikeouts. That's his first hit, but he made it a very impactful hit, a 3-run home run.
B.J. Murray Jr. has walked and doubled. He's had a nice ball game. 8 runs, 7 hits, 5 stolen bases for Great Britain. Canada has 10 runs, 10 hits, and I believe 1 stolen base.
Yeah, and I spoke to several members of this Great Britain team before this game. I said, what did you learn about last night's game against Team USA? And they, to a man, said, we learned that we can hang with these guys. We can play with them. We just got to eliminate the mistakes. But you can see what they have done now. They've scored 8 runs on 7 hits and had a big 3-run first inning. Curtis Taylor is standing by ready down in the Canada bullpen.
He may not be standing by for long, as Rutsky has struggled with some control here in the 4th. The walk to Thompson costly because it came before the Ford home run. And that's a walk to Murray. Sweeney coming up, and Ernie Witt on his way out. A reminder, this is only the top of the 4th, and both managers are really having a trouble stringing together relievers and outs, which in this tournament can be costly. Through 3.5 innings, time of game, we're over 2 hours. Hits, lots of them. Runs, lots of them. Walks, yeah, a bunch. Stolen bases, 6. And hope is still alive for Great Britain.
Oh, there's a lot of baseball left in this game. Yeah. And you just hope. We haven't had a 0 on the scoreboard in any half inning to this point. Seems like the team that bats last is going to win this one.
The pitch misses in. This is Curtis Taylor. Next out of the bullpen for Team Canada.
Taylor's from British Columbia. You see his numbers across 3 levels last year. Pitched in 34 games. Drafted in the 4th round out of UBC, the University of British Columbia. 6 minor league seasons with the Diamondbacks, Rays, and Nationals. He got as high as AAA in 21 and 22.
He's got a minor league deal with the Cubs, so he's got a place to pitch. Sweeney drives one, center field and deep. O'Neill back, looking up, and it is off the wall. Good jump from first, and racing in there, Sweeney arrives at second. A mammoth double to center field. Just a sip.
Tyler O'Neill, the center fielder, played it very well. And you take a look at this. I think he's Cadillacing it a bit, and that's going to cost him. He thinks he hit it out of the yard. That's a long way to straightaway center, 407. And I tell you what, had somebody been covering second, they might have had a shot at making a play on it. And then the runner from first base, he doesn't read it very well either.
Oh,
DJ
wow.
Murray thinks it's a home run. I tell you what, they're going to hear that from their manager. Say, hey man, it's the fourth inning. What are you doing?
See, I saw movement. I thought he had a decent jump. I didn't realize he was skipping. And here's Knowles, who had an RBI double in the third. And just like that, with 2 outs, the tying runs are in scoring position.
Yeah, Murray should have scored on that one, running with 2 outs. And I tell you what, Spencer can't be happy. No, it's too late for my bad. It's much too late for my bad. You should have scored on that.
High fly ball down the line. And Casey reaching. That's a tall wall there, and the fan has it. Yeah, right now, there's a look. Well, that kid with a nice play didn't reach. And Harry Ford's like, you got to be kidding me.
Yeah, with 2 outs, you got to score on that. No reason not to run. And you know what? Those are the things that have hurt Great Britain throughout these first 2 games. Play hard for 27 outs. You never know what might happen.
Both Murray and Sweeney are hoping that Knowles can knock one into the outfield.
Boy, if you're ever pulling for a teammate, it's right now. Get a base hit, Deshaun.
Yeah, that could pick up 2 guys. Otherwise, that is going to fester for a while.
It's the 4th inning.
Struck him out, and that cost Great Britain a run.
Welcome back to Chase Field. You're looking at Brad Marcelino, the bench coach of Team Great Britain, who made one of the most important acquisitions on this roster, Harry Ford. Brad Marcelino, born in Essex, England. He is a coach in the Mariners organization where Harry Ford plays. And Rich, a year ago, they were working out in spring training, and Harry Ford casually mentioned, yeah, both of my parents are born in England. Brad told me he sat there and paused and said nothing for a few minutes to say, wait a minute, you mean you can play for our team? And here we are now with a big home run at Chase Field in the World Baseball Classic.
And, you know, JP, the fact that he's a 20-year-old getting a chance to play, he has as much baseball experience as just about anybody on this team. So suddenly you've got a young player who's, you know, just played in single-A baseball, who's a leader on this team. And has a leadership role because of his skill and his professional experience.
Yeah, and Marcelino is the hitting coach in AAA Tacoma for the Seattle Mariners, so they spent some time together in spring training, and they got conversation. And John JP told a great story about, hey, well, wait a minute, you mean you could play for Great Britain? And he said, yeah. And so here he is, and comes up with a big home run to get Great Britain right back in this game. And you can see the leadership skills behind the plate, exactly what you want to see as he was moving the defense around before this next pitch.
Casey has just bounced out. And now Jacob Robson, who's really looked good in this game. Infield hit, knocked in a run, bunt, single, stolen base, scored a run. Robson, an experienced Canadian player, 28 years old, London, Ontario.
He grew up in Windsor, just across the river from Detroit, and was a big Tiger fan growing up, obviously. And he got a lot of opportunities to watch the Tigers play.
Spent AAA with the Tigers, Toledo last year. Has been to the big leagues briefly. 4 games, 0 for 7.
Now, Jacob talked about going to the 2006 World Series when the Tigers picked up their only win against St. Louis. Kenny Rogers had a great game in that World Series. 8 shutout innings, and Robson was there to watch.
Now that's where we had lunch between games yesterday. Robson smokes that to left and deep and over the head of Knowles. 3 for 3 is Jacob Robson in the 9 spot.
Boy, I'll tell you what, he's had quite a game. Had an infield hit off the pitcher's glove in the first inning, then had a beautiful bunt single. And now he's hit an opposite field double on the base of the wall in left field. Take a look at this swing. He's got a little pop as he drives that pitch up and away, and didn't try to pull it, just goes with it. Hits it to the base of the fence in deep left center, and Trace Thompson comes over to back up the plate and ensure it's only going to be a double.
Hey, Buck, that's the new sign for Team Canada. It looks like antlers.
Moose.
Moose.
Yeah.
All right.
We haven't seen that. It's kind of a surprise. That's the first time we've seen that. And they've had 10 runs, and Robson's had a big day, 3 for 3.
Here is Julien. Solo homer, walked a couple times. He's such a good hitter. I asked him, all right, growing up, he's a hockey player, as you said, but baseball as well. Who was your guy? And he really surprised me by the hitter. He said, Jose Reyes, because he was a switch hitter when he was younger, and he liked the fact that Reyes was a switch hitter too. But when he stopped switch hitting, he went to a left-handed hitter. And so I thought, well, it's got to be Votto, right? Or maybe Justin Morneau. Chase Utley was his guy because he saw a lot of games, a lot of Philly games. And he said Utley, he just loved everything about Chase Utley. And he's kind of got a little bit of that, you know, blue collar, big bat Chase Utley in him. And they think that he projects as a second baseman.
Yeah, Chase Utley, he played for Team USA in 2006, the inaugural World Baseball Classic. And boy, I'll tell you what, if you want to look up and idolize a major league player, Utley's a pretty good example of the way he played the game.
His very first pitch of the WBC.
Yeah, they were down 3-0, bottom of the first inning, and he didn't waste any time to get his team right back in the game. They would actually score 5 runs in the first, but Julien got us started with a solo home run. 400-foot shot, he hit it off the bat at 110 miles an hour. Both of these phones, they're going to have to pay quite a toll down to that bullpen. They've been calling that bullpen all afternoon, both dugouts.
They got rollover minutes, Buck, from last night. So they're in the clear. And Julien walks. And this is what we've seen here. Like, one team in this game will have a big inning, and you're thinking, oh, yeah, this is they got some momentum here. And then you get to the next half inning, and there's 3 guys on base, and all heck is breaking loose.
Both managers have this walk all too often in this game. It's okay, it's a 2-run game. We can't waste any more time, and they'll go to the pen once again.
Andre Scrub out. Lunch is served. 10-8 Canada.
This game is prime time in London, where it is 9:31 p.m. and the fan support is extraordinary. This tweet from Daniel Woodrow: feels so strange to be cheering against all the amazing Canadians that I respect and admire on here for the first time, particularly those I know through my beloved Blue Jays, but it's let's go GB all the way. So Daniel's daughter drew that beautiful picture, and here it is in the dugout. So thanks to Emma Woodrow for having it in the dugout. There it is. Let's go GB. keeping Great Britain very much in this game and inspired. So thanks to Daniel Woodrow and Emma Woodrow for that.
That's awesome. I mean, that really is very cool. Freddie Freeman at the plate. Donovan Benoit with a pitch, and it's sliced foul. Canada, 10 runs, 11 hits. Freeman has one of those hits, has scored 2 of those runs. And there's Benoit after a single-A season in 2022. Here's the ball, kid. Get Freddie Freeman out.
Well, anybody that has a clean inning is going to be a star pitcher in this game. You know, we always use the phrase shutdown innings. After your team scores a couple of runs, you want to throw up a 0 the next half inning and try to keep the momentum in your dugout. That's not been the case today. Benoit's from Pensacola, Florida, pitched at Pensacola Catholic High School. He's eligible to pitch for Great Britain through his mother Sharon's heritage. 10th round pick out of Tulane.
First game of this pool for Canada. They did not play yesterday. The 4 other teams did play. Freeman off the pitcher into right field. That's a base hit. Robson's going to score. Julien is at third. And it's Freeman's second hit.
Boy, that was a bad break for Great Britain as that ball was deflected. It looked like it was going to go right to the bag at second base. And could have been a double play. Just those tiny breaks, a matter of inches. If that ball gets past the pitcher, it looked like it was going to go right to Sweeney, who was near the bag at second. But Freddie Freeman will pick up his second hit of the game and an RBI. And once again, another run for Canada. Watch this ball, a comebacker. And it's off the foot of Benoit. And it looked like it was headed right to second base. And you could see Sweeney was ready to make the play, and he was frustrated that that hit the pitcher. Watch his reaction because he was there anticipating a possible double play to close out the inning. Bad break for Great Britain.
Tyler O'Neill, Canadians at the corner, and that one pops out of Ford's glove. 11-8.
O'Neill had a 3-run double back in the 3rd inning his last time up. He has scored a couple of runs and driven in 3.
Yeah, O'Neill, I mean, look, pick your stars. Julien set the table with the home run on the first pitch he saw. Freeman's got 2 hits. O'Neill's driven in 3, double, walk, single. Toro had a big double. Owen Casey thrilled his one of his baseball buddies in the seats with that home run. He's got 2 hits, driven in 2. Robson has been really a guy that's ignited a bunch of stuff in the 9 spot. He's 3 for 3, including a stolen base.
Harry Ford takes one right on the catcher's mask. It kind of rocked his world to get some help from Felix Tejada, who made sure he didn't fall over behind home plate, but he got hit flush in that catcher's mask.
Little roller, and that's going to get through into right field and chase home another run. And the throw gets by at third base, and that's going to allow O'Neill to trot into second. Great Britain's defense has been abysmal in this game. Canada adds a run.
Yeah, it's a bad choice for Young to throw that ball. He's had no chance of throwing out Freeman. As you see, O'Neill takes that inside sinker, just fights it off and rolls it through the right side of the infield. Simo tries to knock it down. Freeman hustling in the third, and the throw is wide of the mark, and that's going to give O'Neill a chance to move into scoring position. He now is at second base.
It feels like anybody that stepped on the field in this game has been in scoring position at some point. Jared Young struck out twice and walked. Infield in a 12-8 game in the bottom of the fourth. Things you didn't expect to say coming into the game. But, I mean, for Great Britain, this is a really good opportunity to get a win. I mean, you look at who else is in this pool. Colombia's really good. They're 1-0. Mexico's stocked with big leaguers. They faced USA last night and lost 6-2. On the other hand, for Canada, this is a must win. And every manager we talked to coming in, that's a walk, the bags are loaded, talked about in this format with tiebreakers being amount of earned runs allowed. You have your foot, and Ernie Whitt said this today, you have your foot on the gas the whole game. And Ernie Whitt should know that Canada has a history with tiebreakers. It's not a pleasant one in the Classic.
Yeah, the runs record in the World Baseball Classic was set back in 2006. Japan beat China 18-2. And that's still the record over. This is the 5th edition of the World Baseball Classic.
Well, both these teams are on pace to blow right past 18. Little tapper, could be trouble. Murray, it is trouble, and it's another run.
Otto Lopez gets his second hit of the afternoon. He'll pick up an RBI. Nowhere to go for Murray. He was playing in double play depth, and Otto Lopez just rolled it up the third base line. You can see the bases are loaded. Freeman comes in to score. Murray looked at first base, but you can see he's got a long way to go to retrieve the ball initially, and when he comes up with it, no place to go. Lopez runs well, and he's hustling out of the box and picks up his second hit of the afternoon.
Abraham Toro. Toro, like many of his Canadian teammates, has come to the plate in every inning. Donovan Benoit is out in front 0-2.
You know, looking back to that first World Baseball Classic in 2006, United States beat South Africa 17-0, and that was a mercy rule, a 5-inning game. But South Africa, they had such a young team. They just didn't have any experienced players, and they were in the tournament, and that was played at Scottsdale Stadium.
Well, the mercy rule in international play and tournament play is to, protect pitching. And if a game is out of hand, obviously award that win and move on. But when both teams are scoring like this, there's no mechanism to protect pitching and say, all right, we'll just play 5 innings, right? Because you got two managers here who desperately need to win this game, And they've run through a bunch of relievers already in a tournament that has a tight pitch count. As well as rest regulations in terms of number of pitches.
That's such a great point, because we're at a point now where you've got to start thinking about, well, who are we going to have that will be eligible to play in our next game? Simply because of the pitch count.
Well, I know that Drew Spencer had a volunteer yesterday, and I think that was it Jaden Rudd, who said, hey, if you need me, I'm an emergency pitcher. But he's out of the game. He's already been subbed out for.
Yeah, and there are stipulations about using position players in this, and that's why they have a lengthy roster. And here are the restrictions. If you throw 50 or more, you need 4 days of rest. 30 or more, you have to have a day rest. And
there's Rudd.
If you pitch consecutive games, you need a day's rest as well.
Another run. JP, you got any innings in you?
It's been a couple years, Rich, since I last pitched. But what I'll say is this. From a Canadian perspective, their roadmap to making it out of the group when the WBC rosters were initially discussed involved Cal Quantrill giving them a deep quality start, and Nick Pivetta, who ultimately was not on the final roster, doing the same. And so when you look at it through that lens, Canada right now has a total of 2 outs from Quantrill and Pivetta combined. It's just not the way that it was drawn up months ago.
No.
Well, and that's the situation that managers in this tournament deal with. I mean, you just never know what's going to happen, and everybody's always concerned, and this happens in big league baseball as well. What happens if my starter takes a comebacker in the first inning? What are my options at that point? And it certainly wasn't the case, but both starters in this game today couldn't get out of the first inning. So that put an awful lot of pressure on each of the respective bullpens.
Bo Naylor could crack it wide open here with the swing. And I've said that on a couple of occasions. And on one of those occasions, Canada got a bases loaded double that scored all 3 runs, but it didn't crack it open wide enough. Great Britain cut the lead down to 2.
Now, Bo's 23 years old and a first-round pick of the Guardians in 2018. Got to the big leagues for 5 games last year. He joined his brother Josh on the roster October 1st and became the first set of brothers since the Alomars to play in Cleveland. Sandy Alomar Jr. and Robbie Alomar were together in 2000 with the Guardians. And Bo Naylor, top catching prospect, 8th catching prospect according to MLB.com. He's got some power. He's had some issues today with throwing. He's bounced a couple balls to second base. There's another bases loaded walk.
Drew Spencer's going to go to his bullpen again. There are some pitchers, in fact 5 of them, that haven't pitched yet for Great Britain, but obviously the ramifications are not only just for this game, but the next 2 for Great Britain, the next 3 for Canada. And that about sums it up. 15-8, Canada on top.
Welcome back to Chase Field. Here we are, and the World Baseball Classic continues. Canada leads 15-8. And Ernie Whitt, the manager for Team Canada, having set a record today. His 5th World Baseball Classic as a manager in this tournament. The only person to have done so. He won a Pan American Games championship with Canada back in 2015 and 2011 as well. And the man on his left, Buck Martinez, I know you know Greg Hamilton very well. Greg has done a tremendous amount for baseball in Canada. We mentioned earlier 6 alumni of the national junior team are in this starting lineup today. The success of Canada at the senior level starts with Greg Hamilton and what he does at the grassroots, all the growth in Vancouver in that area. Of course, Greg based in Ottawa. Tremendous story of development for Baseball Canada.
Yeah, Greg Hamilton, he had a 4-year playing career at Princeton And he also played one season of hockey at Princeton for the Tigers, and he has been terrific. So many of these young Canadian players have played on the junior national team, under 18 tournaments that Greg has managed. He takes the kids all over the world to play, literally all over the world. And he has done such a great job. He was the recipient of the 2022 Tony Gwynn Award, presented by Baseball America in recognition of his lifetime achievements and contributions to the game. He does a great job, and so many of these major leaguers that have made their way have come through the Canadian Junior program.
Joseph King, Owen Casey, the hitter. Casey started this inning by bouncing out. And the count's 1-2. 5 runs for Canada here in the 4th. They put 4 on the board in the 3rd, 1 in the 2nd, 5 in the 1st.
King is in the Cardinals system. 9th round pick out of Cal Berkeley.
Slow roller out towards second, out there, and that's it. Seymour flipping to Sweeney. Lopez scores. Casey will get an RBI and a fielder's choice. And here is Robson, who is the number 9 hitter, making his 4th plate appearance. And this is the 4th inning. And he's been terrific. 3 for 3.
$16 runs on 14 hits. And how's your scorebook look, partner? A little busy?
You know those exams they give, those psychological exams, the Rorschach or whatever that is? What do you see? Do you see a bird? What do you see? It's kind of like that.
King pitched last year for the Cal Bears, of course. He was a junior, led the team in innings pitched, starts. He was the frontline starter at 9-5 pitching for Cal. Obviously, the biggest opportunity here, and he, like the rest of his bullpen mates, having trouble throwing strikes.
All hands on deck. And you see Alex Webb getting loose. At the corners, 2 outs. 3-0 is up. Bags loaded again.
Such a helpless feeling for a manager and a pitching coach, and you just don't have many options. You're trying to figure out how you can get a couple of outs. And the defense can't help you when the pitchers continue to walk batters. $12 walks now issued by Great Britain.
Julien swings and misses. Canada has him loaded again. I have a feeling that he's going to be a Minnesota Twin this year.
Yeah, I think you're right. That's a pretty good call because he's got the bat. There's no question about that. He's improved dramatically playing second base.
Anytime you go from single A, which he did, to double A last year in Wichita and put up those type of numbers, you're ready.
Yeah, and certainly having played at Auburn, a pretty good college baseball program, he's a little more advanced than somebody coming out of high school. And You know, he knows his swing and he knows what it takes to have success. He's got a pretty good eye at the plate.
Swings and misses, and a long inning is over for Great Britain. 6 more runs for Canada, 16-8. Let's go to the 5th.
It is about 10 p.m. in London, and what a great crowd of people watching this game over there. Passyunk Avenue in London. We also have in Cardiff, Wales, the Wales and Barry Rugby Club. In Exeter, England as well, a party hosted by the Exeter Spitfire Baseball Academy. In Bristol at the Jersey Lily Pub as well. Our thanks to Chris Knobloch of GB Baseball for sharing those great images with us. And the timing just works out perfectly. A prime time game in London and across Great Britain here tonight.
Yeah, JP, look, for you British fans watching this team, they may be down 16-8, but you got to be pretty proud of them just being here. How they played last night against Team USA and all that they've accomplished in a very short time. Anthony Seymour, Chavez Young, and Trace Thompson. Seymour lifts it foul. I mean, Great Britain's had some really nice moments in this game offensively, right? Harry Ford's 3-run homer, all the stolen bases, the double steal of home. Last night, a lead over Team USA, holding Team USA to just 6 runs. Off the base, Freeman there, flips. Taylor gets the out. There are very few teams, Buck, that in their first year of the World Baseball Classic come in and light it on fire or even win games, for that matter, because those are the countries that are just starting to develop in the sport.
And you just want to represent your nation as best you can. And they scored 3 runs in the first inning against Cal Quantrill, a big league prime-time starting pitcher. He won 15 games last year for the Guardians, and they scored 3 runs against him in the first. The issue, of course, has been the depth of the pitching, and I think that's the biggest challenge for each one of these teams in the entire tournament. Quality pitching, where you can get pitchers to commit to join to your federation's team, and that's always been a concern. You know, pitchers concerned about pitch counts and innings limit and getting ready for the regular season, and they're reluctant to commit. So that's why you really have to appreciate the superstars, especially on Team USA, that have committed to represent their country and commit to this tournament.
That first strike was outside, to be honest, and that one was a strike. Chavez Young has been terrific. He has stolen a couple bases, or actually stolen 3 bases, walked twice, singled and scored.
Chavez Young is a very interesting man. He's from the Bahamas, Freeport, Bahamas, and he has done a lot of things in this game. He scored 3 runs. He got things started with a leadoff walk, had a couple of steals in the first inning, including stealing of home. He scored 3 runs, a couple of walks, and 3 stolen bases in the game. He's got a single as well.
Curtis Taylor trying to restore order right now for Canada.
This is the celebration they have whenever something good happens offensively. They have a little sip of tea.
Canada has gone with the moose antlers. The U.S. is a simple salute. I don't remember either Colombia or Mexico.
Mexico had the sombrero.
The sombrero. Well, that was the celebratory sombrero.
Yeah, Mexico had the sombrero.
Colombia has the Cabrera brothers. They're a big celebration just themselves. There you go.
Mexico fans here already. They will play later on tonight against Team USA.
27-year-old Curtis Taylor.
Well, we are a strike away from having our first 0 put up on the board in this game. Top of the 5th inning. No one has had a 1-2-3 inning, and Curtis Taylor trying to become the first pitcher to record such an inning in this game.
Trace Thompson, 3 hits now in 6 at-bats in this World Baseball Classic. And he's driven in a run in both games. Curtis Taylor. There it is, Buck. There's your first 0 up on the scoreboard. Put it up there. Come on. There you go. There will be a brief ceremony, and then we'll return. 16-8. Canada. This copyrighted telecast presented by the authority of the World Baseball Classic Incorporated may not be reproduced, retransmitted in any form. Counts and descriptions of the game may not be disseminated without express written consent. Phoenix, Arizona, Pool C. 2 really fun games yesterday. This has been a wild ride offensively. Freddie Freeman fouls one off. And you would think, I mean, you look at the score and you think to yourself, well, geez, Freddie Freeman must have hit a big home run or driven in a slew of runs. And the damage has been up and down the Canadian lineup. Just about everybody has contributed.
Yeah, and it's quite an interesting mix of experienced players like Freddie Freeman and Tyler O'Neill. And then you've got Otto Lopez and Abraham Toro, younger players. Alex Webb in 37 career games in the minor leagues. There's a ground ball to first. That should be an out.
Little Canadian spray chart for you.
It's all over the field. As you can see, the home run by Julian got it started, and then Oren Casey hit one off the center field fence for a home run. Balls off the wall, home runs, 2 home runs in the game. 16 runs on 14 hits. A lot of offense for Team Canada.
Something we need to investigate as Tyler O'Neill steps to the plate. It feels like, and I keep making a note to pay more attention, but I get lost in all the pitching changes. It sounds like most of the Canadian players are coming to the plate with Canadian music. I think that was Rush bringing O'Neill up. Knowles cuts that off, and O'Neill has his 4th hit in his 5th plate appearance. He's also walked, so he's 4 for 4 with a walk here in the 5th inning.
Yeah, and that's what you would expect with a bona fide major leaguer like Tyler O'Neill. He had a good game, and obviously one of the big hits in the game was his 3-run double to the alley back in the 3rd inning. At the point, it was a little bit closer, and it looked like the outcome was in question.
Tyler O'Neill's going to move up on that pitch. Jared Young at the plate. I don't think in the World Baseball Classic, and you manage, so you might know, that you get to pick out a walk-up song. Do you?
In 2006, we didn't have walk-up songs.
Oh, come on. Griffey did. Look, I was in the Kingdome when Griffey was walking up to Hip Hip Hooray and all that. So.
Yeah, I don't think we put out a questionnaire and said, what do you want your walk-up song to be? We were just happy to have a full roster of Team USA players.
JP, you've got international experience with this. Is this music just happenstance, or is every Canadian coming to the plate to Bryan Adams and Rush and and stuff like that.
It's by design, Rich. Earlier today, all I can tell you as the ball gets away is that the batting practice playlist here includes 50 Mission Cap and New Orleans is sinking by the Tragically Hip. So that is as Canadiana as it gets.
Yeah, Rush and Tragically Hip and Bryan Adams, all big Canadian favorites. Of course, Geddy Lee of Rush is a huge baseball fan.
Ralph Forbes is now catching. Harry Ford has the rest of this game off. Well, I mean, for the World Baseball Classic equal time amendment, as far as broadcasters go, to counterbalance that talk about Canadian music, Great Britain's game notes today, every title of a note had a Beatles song attached to it. So the schedule is across the universe. The recap from the game in Game 1 is yesterday. That was a really nice touch.
The top note, first paragraph, Ticket to Ride.
Yeah. Trace Thompson with his home run yesterday. Hello, goodbye.
Very, very in-depth notes from Team Great Britain. They've done a great job.
Mike Passanisi, excuse me, has taken over the notes.
I love this note. Drive my car, talking about the skipper at the helm of Great Britain is manager Drew Spencer.
Passanisi is from the San Francisco Giants PR department, one of the very best in all of Major League Baseball. So there's no surprise that he's delved into the Beatles. Be a lot of pressure on him tomorrow to come up with more songs, but we're looking forward to it. Otto Lopez singled twice. Canada with runners at the corners, 1 out. I stopped by Forbes. Lopez, little tapper, cut off. Murphy gets it out at second base. And now there's 2 outs, another run across. Canada has scored in every inning. It's 17-8. And ladies and gentlemen, this is a World Baseball Classic record. 25 combined runs, most in a single game. And these two teams have a chance to push that record to the point where it never will be broken, because this is only the 5th inning.
17 runs. That's one off the team record for the most runs in a single game, which was set by Japan against China back in 2006.
This is Abraham Toro. Toro, RBI doubles, walked with the bases loaded. $11,000 in attendance. We had 40 last night for USA Great Britain, and it's going to be sold out tonight here for Mexico and USA. Team Mexico there. Well, not really, but
well, Patrick Sandoval will start for Team Mexico.
Yeah, it's really going to be an incredible scene, because it's actually going to feel like a home game for Team Mexico. At least that's what we're hearing. Sandoval, the Angels lefty. Nick Martinez will get the ball for Team USA. Chopper over the middle by Toro. Cut off, but safe at first on the Sweeney throw. I don't know that a good throw would have had him. And Toro's got a base hit.
Yeah, it was a tough play, and the angle he had to make that throw from was very awkward. He was running toward first base. You can see where Sweeney starts on the shortstop side of the bag. He throws on the run and pulls a cord off the bag over at first base. He tried to gather, and you know, that's the one thing we have seen, a inability to throw strikes from the pitching staff, and kind of some shaky plays on defense have led to some problems.
Well, Great Britain has 2 more games left after this, and they'll get Mexico and Colombia. Bo Naylor for his 12th at bat of the day. It feels like. He's walked twice, once to drive in a run, scored a run, and then struck out twice.
We mentioned Naylor and Josh, brothers that played together with the Guardians late in the season last year. And on October 2nd, Bo made his first Major League start at DH. He hit 5th behind his brother Josh. First set of brothers to hit consecutively for Cleveland since Joe and Luke Sewell in 1930.
Really?
Yeah, long time ago.
So the Alomars didn't
Never hit back-to-back.
Back-to-back?
No.
Any other brothers in Cleveland history that were on the team at the same time?
No. It was last done in the majors by the Romines. Andrew and Austin Romines for the Cubs in 2021. But as we mentioned, the Alomars, they played together. It was the Naylors were the first set of brothers to play in the same game for Cleveland since the Alomars did it in October of 2000.
Naylor waiting here. 2 balls and 2 strikes and 2 outs. Alex Webb to the plate. It's fouled off. What are the other brother? I mean, and we're jumping from the Guardians to other major league teams. Probably the DiMaggio brothers at one point. Did they play on the same team at some point? Or
I don't think they did.
Red Sox, Yankees, they probably didn't.
No.
Different era. The Alous in San Francisco, I would expect.
They all played in San Francisco. But yeah, it's rare to have brothers hitting back-to-back same lineup.
The Aarons, I don't know if they hit back-to-back, though. That's the qualifier. Besides, you shorted out baseballreference.com with all your digging here today. The site crashed, or 3-2. It's outside. That's a walk. Bags are loaded. All right, everybody out of the pool. And then back in tonight for Mexico and United States. Great Britain has another day game tomorrow, and that's against Colombia after their off day. Canada and the U.S. tomorrow night. Casey here, 5th at bat, driven in a run in 3 of those at bats. And it's hit hard down the left field line, and it's foul.
Tell you what, Owen Casey's done a nice job swinging the bat. He's got a powerful swing, and he's hit a home run. He has just done such a terrific job putting the bat on the ball. He's got power the opposite way as well, and that about 3 feet foul down the left field line. His home run went to straightaway center.
Two outs here. Sharp ground ball to third. Out at second. And so Great Britain limits the damage to just the 1 run. On to the 6th inning. The World Baseball Classic, Pool C in Phoenix. Big lead for Canada. If you're into runs, we got a lot of those. John Axford, who was a dominant reliever in his day in the big leagues. You can see his career stats.
46 saves for the Brewers in 2011. He also had a 25 save season for the Rockies in 2015. The last pitch for the Brewers in 2021 and blew out his elbow when he made it come back. Prior to that, he'd pitched for the Dodgers in 2018, did not pitch in 19 or 20. So he is happy to be back, and he hasn't thrown a lot lately. He told me the other night that the other day was the first day he threw to a catcher, and he threw 93 on his first pitch, and he was ecstatic. He's got his 2 boys with him here during this tournament, JB and Jameson. They're both here with their dad, and I bet you they're thrilled to see him pitching here for Team Canada.
He looks like the cover boy for Brawny Paper Towels, right? I mean, look, he just has that look of intimidation and a big right-hander.
11 years in the big leagues. He's pitched 544 games and doing it once again for Team Canada.
And he's rushing it up there. That 93.
He was the NL Roll Age Relief Pitcher of the Year in 2011 when he had that 46 save season. Finished 9th in the Cy Young voting that year.
Second most saves by a Canadian-born pitcher, right? Eric Gagne.
Gagne had 187 career saves, Axford 144. He also has the 3rd most saves for a Brewers pitcher. Dan Plesac, Josh Hader, 1st and 2nd in that category. He saved 106 games while pitching in Milwaukee.
Justin Wiley is the hitter. And back in the day, man, he was intimidating and really, really good.
11 big league seasons, 46 saves. That's a franchise record in Brewers history. He's 2 ahead of Francisco Rodriguez and Francisco Cordero. He was something else, man. He had big, powerful arm. Blew it past a lot of hitters, and he also had a great wipeout breaking ball.
That ball fouled back and out of play. 17-8, Canada on top. Canada's first game of this pool, and this came with some pressure because, Great Britain last night played better than most people expected. Lost to Team USA 6-2. And Canada has designs on advancing. They know they have to win this game and then take down somebody else at the very least in their next 3 games.
Wow, and it's going to help them too that they've scored 17 runs. That has a lot to do with your advancing if you get into a tiebreaker situation. They mentioned Axford has that good curveball. He still got it, so he reaches in his back pocket and pulls it out. And he's still got that great spin on the breaking ball and gets himself a strikeout.
JP?
Wiley.
Well, Rich, John Axford told me recently that he began his recovery from Tommy John surgery by playing catch as the coach of his son's baseball teams and throwing into a net in his backyard. That is where the return began for him to pitch with the senior national team. And Rich and Buck, as you know, the other thing that John loves the most after his family and baseball is film. A huge night for him tonight with the Oscars coming up, and I did know that the one film that John has reviewed that's in the Best Picture category is Triangle of Sadness. Today would be the opposite for John and his family.
Yeah, this is a really fun moment, and it speaks to and everybody we talk to is just so thrilled to be here and represent their country. For a guy who's had such a decorated major league career to come back and get himself back in shape and get himself back on the mound. Ground ball. He's got to get himself over to first. And he's there.
Murray looks like he hasn't missed a beat. Got off the mound in good shape. You know, he's experienced just about everything you can in a baseball uniform. He had 2 1/3 scoreless innings in the 2013 World Series for the Cardinals. How about a couple of veterans executing this play to perfection? Freddie Freeman to John Axford. Pretty cool. And John got over there in plenty of time, made it look easy.
That was Ralph Forbes with that ground ball out. Alex Crosby is going to pinch hit here for Nick Ward. And he little soft line drive and a very nice arrival for John Axford back in the game. A 1-2-3 inning.
Great Britain's World Baseball Classic history began last night. Its overall history a little bit older than that. The largest island in Europe, London, the double capital of both England and the United Kingdom. Of course, England has its own professional and international soccer team, Windsor Castle, in use since the 11th century. And as you know, of course, Rich and Buck, a long history between Canada and Great Britain as well. The Constitution Act of 1982 meant Canada was fully independent once that was proclaimed by Her Majesty Queen Elizabeth II.
I think there was an amendment to that involved pitch limits and and run rules, which, you know what, guys, we talked about run rules last night with Team USA facing Great Britain and how that was a possibility. It's a possibility now, and it's a reality. If you're Canada, you want to run here and then 3 outs and the game's over, so you don't have to bring out a couple more relief pitchers. And who else but Jacob Robson to get it going? This guy.
What a game. He's had a terrific game. That's his 4th hit. He's been on base all 5 times he's come to the plate. He had a bunt single in the 3rd inning. He had an infield RBI single in the 1st inning off the pitcher's glove, then went opposite field for a double in the 4th inning, walked also in the 4th inning, and now he has singled here to start the 6th.
Here's Julian. Drew Spencer and Great Britain, their bullpen has had to absorb a lot of innings. Alex Webb here into his 2nd inning.
7th pitcher to pitch for Great Britain this afternoon. Akil Morris started. He couldn't get out of the 1st. He was charged with 5 earned runs on 4 hits, had a couple of walks. Great Britain has walked 14 Team Canada batters here today.
I would be interested to see how close that is to a World Baseball Classic record.
I got to believe it's a record. I just can't imagine 14 walks in an inning in a game, and we've only played 6 innings.
I've been told 2nd most.
Really?
Yes. Crack staff right now is researching thoroughly. 16 is the record, and that's batting by Japan. I don't know who they were facing, but these guys are good.
That might have been that China game when they scored 18 runs. It was probably in the same game.
This year.
Yeah.
I still am stunned at the finish of Pool A. Right, with Italy and
5 teams tied at 2-2.
And it was Italy and Cuba that emerged with the tiebreaker. That's a wild pitch, and so that all-important run, Buck, is in 2nd base. As Canada tries to take a 10-run lead, they would still need to get 3 outs in the top of the 7th. That's my reading of the run rule.
Yeah.
I think technically if they score 6 runs here, it's ball game, right? Because if you're ahead by 15
after
5, so you could have a walk-off win and win the ball game 23-8.
They've scored 6 runs in the 4th inning, so anything is possible, I guess.
Yes, well. Freeman's on deck. Webb's 3-2. Julien takes inside. So we're talking about in Pool A. When that thing started, you thought, well, Cuba's 0-2. They're not going anywhere. Italy, probably not. Going to be Netherlands, maybe Panama, because they had some early wins, and it all ended up at 2-2. Earned runs allowed, the main criteria for the tiebreak. And those are the 2 teams that advance. And they will head to Tokyo for the next round, which is 1 and out. Japan is already from Pool B. They ran the table. They went 4-0. That's, in this event's history, it's really hard to walk into the Tokyo Dome and beat Japan.
Well, especially with Otani and Darvish both playing in it.
Yes.
Japan only allowed 4 or 8 runs in 4 games. They scored 38 runs in 4 games, but they only allowed 8. Australia is second in that pool, and they have a game to play. They have a 2-1 record. Czech Republic, Korea are both 1-2, and China is 0-3.
That would be an enormous accomplishment for Australia to advance. They've never advanced. Alex Webb working on Freddie Freeman. Freeman pulls a ground ball. And Crosby gets an out at second. The throw to first is not nearly in time. So there's an out. But that all-important run is standing at third base.
Center fielder, Tyler O'Neill.
And here's Tyler O'Neill. If you were to select a player of the game, the Buck Martinez, Belushi's player of the game.
Yeah, there's so many options here, but I'm going to go kind of a opposite direction and say Edouard Julien hit the home run on the first pitch after Great Britain had shocked Team Canada with 3 runs in the top half of the inning. Julien said, "Oh no, we're not done." And he hit the first pitch he sees out of the ballpark, and that really started things going. I mean, it's easy to look at Tyler O'Neill. He's had a big game, had the big 3-run double in the 3rd. Jacob Robson, he's been on base 5 times, been on base all 5 times he's come to the plate. But that Julien home run just kind of settled everything down for Team Canada. Say, hey, don't worry, boys. We've got enough weapons to get back in this game. And he put a charge in that first inning home run.
And Tyler O'Neill would be a great choice. He's only 4 for 4 with the 4 RBIs. I like Jacob Robson in the 9 spot, who just has stirred everything up. Been on base. He's got 4 hits, stolen base, walk. All right, bags are loaded. And that ties the walk record we were talking about. Again, if you're looking for drama, there is some here, and that is, can Canada score 1 more run and run rule Great Britain by getting 3 outs in the 7th? Or, for even more fun, can they score 6 runs and go up by 15, and then the game would be over.
Jared Young would love to get involved in the action. Yeah, he's drawn 3 walks, but he's also struck out twice. He's 0 for 2. He hasn't been able to get into the act with the hits.
Mercy, as Hawk would say.
"15 runs after 5, 10 runs or more after 7, and the home team does not have to complete the inning once the mercy rule has been reached."
Jared Young takes a strike. Young doesn't have a hit or a run driven in. "17 runs, 17 hits." Two balls, 2 strikes. It's actually a lot emptier than it was about 3 hours ago. But there still are some arms down there. Ground ball out there. A run will score. And the throw high. Freeman survives at third. And Young is still at first. And there's that run. It's a 10-run game. So when we get to the 7th, Canada will need just the 3 outs.
That's unfortunate. They just have really not had a very good game defensively, and then you factor in all the walks, and there's not much you can do. Sweeney steps on the bag and airmails the first baseman.
Otto Lopez now. Chopper to third. Going the short way is Murphy. Gets the outs. 3 more outs. This feels like a save situation. Buck Martinez. 18-8. Canada on top of Great Britain. World Baseball Classic experience for Canada, not great. That's why this in 2023 is such a big moment for this team. Eliminated in the first round, and that was the tie-breaking formula. And that proved a point to Ernie Witt that from now on we're playing for every inning, for every run. That kind of led to the Canada-Mexico brawl when Canada tried to add on because of that. That's a moment that lives in World Baseball Classic lore. And right now, 18-8, just 3 outs away from ending this game. Matt Brash is out of the bullpen. And Matt Brash throws hard. Just ask the rest of the American League. Was with the Mariners last year.
He is 24 years old, came up with Seattle. He is from Kingston, Ontario. And he's got a big curveball. Hard throwing right-hander. He'll throw in the upper 90s with his fastball. He went 4-4 last year. And, you know, he made his debut, started April 12th at Oakland against the White Sox and struck out 6 over 5 1/3. And they want him to be efficient here and just come in here and have a quick work. This is an opportunity to get him acclimated to this tournament, but he's the guy they're going to lean on late in games, in pivotal games, in high leverage situations.
And you know what? There's a swing and a miss. This is a high leverage situation, Buck Martinez. It's 18-8. If he gets 2 more outs, it ends the game because of the 10-run rule, the mercy rule. So he's essentially saving the bullpen. He's essentially ending the game. Let's be honest, he's saving our lunch break. as well, because the entire crew, we have to go eat before the game tonight. And he may be saving batting practice for Mexico and Team USA on the field.
Yeah, they play at 7 o'clock, and last night they didn't have batting practice before the second game, so I don't know if that's part of the schedule.
Work with me here. I'm still building up this save opportunity.
I'm not going to give him a save. I don't care how many he strikes out this inning. It's not a save.
Come on. It feels like a save. Darnell Sweetie pulls it foul.
He has got great stuff, and Seattle's really thrilled to have him as part of their pitching staff. He struck out the side against Atlanta on September 11th. He struck out Austin Riley, William Contreras, and Vaughn Grisham. That's a cutter at 90.
1 out away. You know what, though? I mean, it's important enough for Ernie Whitt to get through this inning without giving up a run that he's got Brash in there, because there's no days off for Canada from here. So if he pitches tomorrow night, then he'd have to sit out game 3. So Ernie Whitt wants this done.
And he wants him to be as efficient as possible so he can be available for the game tomorrow. There's a slider for his strike. Canada plays United States tomorrow in the night game.
Deshaun Knowles takes the strike. Matt Brash is hungry. Oh, and 2. To Deshaun Knowles. Got him! Ball game! Canada finishes it in the middle of the 7th. Matt Brash out of the bullpen. Boy, it wasn't easy, but a much needed win for Canada. They wanted desperately to start this thing at 1-0, to beat a Great Britain team that looked decent last night and surprised a lot of people against the U.S. But Canada now 1-0, joining the United States and Colombia. Mexico and USA playing tonight. Great Britain now falls to 0-2. That guy was a pest. Jacob Robson with the big day. Tyler O'Neill with a huge game. Edouard Julien with the big home run. Owen Casey as well. Drove in 3, had a single and a homer. That's a very relieved manager now.
Well, they kind of got punched in the nose in the first inning. They fell behind 3-0, but Edouard Julien came right back and got things going. 18 runs on 17 hits for Team Canada. And they did a terrific job. They hit a couple of home runs. Julien and Owen Casey went deep. Unfortunately for Great Britain, 16 walks in the ball game, and that certainly led to their demise.
Philippe Aumont comes back and gets the win in this game. Buck Martinez. That's a nice touch for Canada. Some moments for Great Britain in this one. They scored some runs, 8 of them, but not enough. 18-8, the mercy rule. Mexico, United States, 10 Eastern. For our entire production crew, MLB Network, I'm Rich Waltz for Buck Martinez, JP Morosi. See you tonight.